All right, welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily, and sorry, that was really loud. Today we've got not just DCU Daily, but we also, of course, as always, have the news, we have quick hits, but then we have to talk about a lot of MCU stuff today. So MCU Weekly is gonna be probably the biggest thing of the day. I mean, DC, we got some DC news, but if you guys, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the Avengers Doomsday cast was announced. Get it right, Daniel. Okay. And then, of course, Daredevil Born Again dropped a double episode mid-season banger of a back-to-back, which Liz has just she just finished watching it. So we're going to talk about that. So we have got lots to talk about. Daredevil Born Again, episodes 5 and 6, the Avengers cast, some Lantern set photos. We have to talk about the DCU slate. How much of the original slate actually still is true? So does James Gunn actually have a plan, or has he been winging it this whole time? And as John is barping behind the scenes, we do have to get into a bunch of news from the world of television, because there's a lot of new shows getting renewed, as well as, of course, the weekend box office. Will Snow White do good, or will Jason Statham's A Working Man come out on top? So we'll talk about that and so much more. But as always, we do that with the news. So let's hit that intro, and then we'll get the show started.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding. I can't open the envelope without this.
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne. I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow, I still left the music playing. All right, there we go. It's such a Green Lantern Doomsday kind of a day. I'm even drinking green stuff today, so it's refreshing. Doomsday juice, I call it. All right, let's get into the show. We're gonna start with the news, but as always, before we start the show, Liz is disgusted at the idea of what I just said. But Liz, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. It's supposed to be 78 degrees on Saturday, and we just had a wintry mix as I was entering the studio tonight. So I don't know how to dress anymore, you guys. Climate change is real. If you don't believe it, I can't fuck with you. Like,
it's
this
so
is
weird.
just...
It was like 64 degrees 2 days ago, and now it's gonna be like snowy. What is going on out there?
I can't deal.
But one thing, by the way, Liz, I know the way you have kind of wrong shot. I know the way your sign has kind of like going like diagonally, but I can't help but read it as assemble as opposed to assemble, because like it's the way it's written. So
it's the font, man. There's nothing you can do, you know. Sometimes you write something, it looks funky, and that's the spelling.
That's okay.
Talk to whoever invented language. I can't help you.
Remember, as we all know, English isn't a language. It's 3 languages and a trench coat pretending to be a language.
There you are.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, John, how are you doing today?
I'm eating bread and butter, so I'm in a good mood.
He's doing well. Good
So
for
it's
you,
the
Johnny.
simple things, guys.
It is the simple things. I do have Pop-Tarts near me. I have a fresh.
I ate the rest of my Pop-Tarts today.
Yeah.
And I have my
Pop-Tarts
first
go a long
Comic-Con
way
of the
with
year
me.
coming up this weekend. So
That's awesome. Wait, which one? Which one is it?
90s Con in Hartford, Connecticut. Very
Nice.
exciting. I'm meeting the entire cast of 90210. I'm meeting Wilson Phillips. I'm meeting Mario Lopez. I'm meeting Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, David Arquette, Jamie Kennedy, the Scream Boys. So it's going to be a good time. I'm meeting about, I think, 34 people in total. So hooray for me.
That is a lot of people to meet in just
Yeah.
one weekend. I don't meet that many people in a whole week.
I mean, that's low numbers.
I got
you're
that
right,
bread.
honestly.
I got that bread.
John has that bread, that kind of bread. Now, all right. Well, speaking of bread, let's talk about the weekend box office. Because
That's what it
Disney's
is.
Snow White is hoping that it can make more bread this weekend than it did in the last, although it's probably not going to. But
No.
given that it started off really underwhelming last weekend, now it's got to contend with a new Jenna Ortega movie called Unicorn, and of course,
Death of a Unicorn. Death of a Unicorn.
there you go. The full title is Death of a Unicorn. I could care less. I apologize to anybody who
That
does
means
care
you
about
do care a
Paul
little bit.
Rudd's in it. What are you talking about?
That means you do care a little bit. If you
it's
say
my
you could
personal-
care less, you do care a little bit.
That's a little bit. You know, my favorite movie this weekend is going to be Jason Statham's A Working Man. So that's exactly.
There's also Penguin Lessons, and The Woman in the Yard comes out, which I actually am kind of want to see it, kind of.
PG-13
So-
Blumhouse horror movie. Not.
I like Jason Blum.
I was just gonna say the opening weekend it was underwhelming, but it looks like Snow White is going to be making less than half of what it made in its opening weekend with about
As it
20
should.
million.
As it should. It should pay us to see it because it's trash.
53% drop is not the worst thing we have seen in recent times, but it's for a movie that started off as low as it did, it's not a very high number either. So, I mean, which movie do you think wins the weekend? Do you think there's any chance that A Working Man can do more than 20 million? Because Death of a Unicorn is supposed to be 5 to 7, so that's not going to be much.
I mean, Novocaine is still out, so I feel like
That's true.
feel Novocaine, Mickey 17, Alto Knights,
So-
Black Bag, those are all still out. Captain America's still out.
So do we think Novocaine is gonna numb the pain of A Working Man?
I wish I had Novocaine right now.
I'm not apologizing.
Gang, Paddington is still out. If you want a delightful kids movie, go see Paddington in Peru. It's worth all your dollars.
Yeah,
And
pretty
it's
much.
kind of a musical
Or
as well at one point for no reason.
Is Dogman still out? Fuck it, watch that.
It is not.
I'm
Dogman
sure it
is
is.
now streaming. Dogman is now
Yeah,
on
stay
streaming,
home
right?
and watch Dogman. It's so much fucking better.
Yeah,
It's so
my
much
godchildren
better.
were watching it the other day.
So- I mean, look, ultimately, as far as the box office this weekend, I just don't think this is going to be a very good weekend again, because when you look
I think it's going to be a mixed bag because you've got quite the variety of films out right now.
which is true, but again,
Yeah.
I mean, the overall amount of the amount of money that's coming out of this weekend is not going to be terribly high, considering we are coming up on April now, and so April is right around where you start to like, okay, we're getting closer to the spring summer season. But Snow White obviously not going to do terribly well. $20 million for probably the number one movie of the weekend is not very high. Jason Statham's A Working Man is going to do 10 to 12 million. The Death of a Unicorn is only looking at 5 to 7. So if those are your top 3 or 3 out of your top 5, then like you said, Novocaine and a number of the other movies that are out right now. I mean, Captain America, I think recently came out of theaters. So there's not a lot of big.
No, they're
movies
still
out
showing it
there.
at my theater.
Oh,
It's
they
still
are?
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I guess you still have that choice. But yeah, I mean, the weekend is not going to be great, but obviously we have some bigger movies coming up soon. So hopefully that will rescue that for the movie theaters, because they are still struggling. It looks like this year they were ahead of last year up until a couple of weeks ago, when because of Snow White mostly not doing as well as
Thanks,
Disney had
Snow White.
expected.
Fuck you.
Now we're kind of like behind what numbers were a year ago. So hey, there's that. Now the next thing I wanted to discuss is Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo, where are you? I've been looking for Scooby-Doo. He's not on Boomerang anymore because that service got killed by Warner Brothers. I'm okay with that.
Get the fucking chopping block on Max with how much Zaslav hates animation.
I understand that it was a cost-cutting measure, but then they moved it to Max, but now they've started removing a lot of these old characters from the Max streaming service. So here comes Netflix, and I think, John, you and I don't even, maybe Liz, you were on the show. We discussed when this was being tossed around as an
I remember.
idea.
Yeah.
Right? So now it looks like officially Netflix has greenlit a live-action Scooby-Doo series, and it's going to have 8 episodes. So what are your thoughts on this? This is going to be like the first live-action Scooby-Doo since the Freddie Prinze Jr. movies.
No,
I mean, Matthew
no.
Lillard can
Remember
still
the
do
Robbie
it.
Amell movies? The made-for-TV ones?
God. Oh, God.
I remember. I watched
don't
that
remember.
shit.
I think I wiped that from my memory.
Probably good that you did, but like I'm just saying, I
Lillard
remember.
can still do it. They as long as they just cast the best Shaggy of all time, I think we're set. We'll be all right.
Because here's the thing: those names, Greg Berlanti, Sarah Schechter, Those are the two names that are like,
Yeah.
I don't know
Warner
about
Brothers
that.
Television, Berlanti Productions.
So Scott Rosenberg is usually a pretty good writer. Like he's kind of hit and miss. He wrote, I don't know if it was him or his brother that wrote like this fucking bonkers ass Halloween script back in the 90s. So, we'll see, but like I don't have a ton of faith for it. Like like pretty much 99, like the thing that united the internet was how fucking horrendous Velma was. So as long as it's not that bad, it just needs to be like a little bit better than like Riverdale, and it should be okay. Like that's
Yeah, it's also meant to be an origin story, so that's gonna be interesting because obviously
that's what they
it's an iconic franchise that everybody kind of knows how they came together, but also in this situation I find it interesting that they did that because there's a lot of animated versions of the show where you don't really have an origin story. You just know that they work together.
Scooby-Doo?
No, I'm not saying there aren't any, but I'm saying
Yeah.
in most situations you don't need. Like I think when What's New Scooby-Doo came out, we didn't really need an origin story, right?
We never really need an origin story. It's just five kids fucking or four
and
kids
their favorite
dog fucking solving
exactly.
mysteries.
I mean, Liz, would you watch this show? Did you care for
No.
Scooby-Doo when it was around?
No, I hate Scooby-Doo. I have no
Okay.
interest in Scooby-Doo whatsoever.
All
I
right.
did see the live action with Freddie Prinze and Sarah Michelle Gellar, but pretty much because it was Freddie Prinze and Sarah Michelle Gellar. But no, I positively loathe Scooby-Doo.
Wow.
And
How the
I've
fuck
never-
can you hate Scooby-Doo? What
I
the
hate
fuck is
Scooby-Doo.
wrong with you?
Hate it.
I've
I hate
never
it.
heard anybody like
I think it's dumb as fuck. It's
hate it
dumb
with
as
that kind of
fuck.
veracity. That is interesting.
I will say the Scooby-Doo episode of Supernatural was choice. But other than that, Scooby-Doo can fuck as far as I'm concerned. No, thank you.
Scooby-Doo does fuck. Like bro fucks. Like with how much like celebrity status and how good these shows are. Like pretty much it's one of those cases where
never
it's
appealed to me. No.
Where it's like it's a fucking like talking dog and like teenagers solving mysteries. Like what's so fucking like
No.
oh my god, no about that. Like I don't understand.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way I feel about like the Brady Bunch. Like, yeah, they're classics, great. Could not give two fucks.
Well,
about
yeah, Brady Bunch is fucking boring as shit, but that was made in the 60s and 70s. Nobody cared about that.
Yeah, but Scooby-Doo, they have like the 60s, 70s vibe. And
They
it's
do, but
corny
they
as
also
fuck.
have
I have no interest.
well
in
because
it.
the original one was from the 60s, but then they've done a lot of other iterations since. I mean, I think
pretty
it's
much
an
like
age thing.
every outside of Velma, pretty much like every Scooby-Doo show has been great. Like
Sure,
I agree.
Sure is.
Like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? What's New Scooby-Doo? I mean, the first four direct-to-video movies, like Witch's Ghost and Zombie Island, Alien Invasion, Cyber Chase, and then which is where this is from. This little picture is from. I fucking love Cyber Chase. I know that's the one that not a lot of people like. I fucking love Cyber Chase. And pretty much like A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, like all the shows are pretty much like really good or close to great. Mystery Incorporated, I never watched because I couldn't get into the animation style, but I might go and back and watch it now.
My favorite is What's New Scooby-Doo because I
What's New
grew up
Scooby-Doo
like,
was so good.
I would
That
watch
was
it,
so
go to
good.
school. It was like it's so it brings back that nostalgia. from
Plus,
back in the
Mike
day.
Piazza was in an episode, so I, as a Mets fan, I dug that. So
I mean, that's all right.
I remember that episode actually.
I was
Mystery
watching that as a
Incorporated.
kid, and I was freaking out. I'm like, Mom, Mike Piazza was on Scooby-Doo. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I was just like going crazy. I know Mystery Incorporated. It's just like the animation style was so different that I'm like, I like couldn't get into it. But I might go I might have to take advantage that it's on Max before Zaslav fucking gives it the axe. But yeah, I'm a huge Scooby-Doo fan. I love the live action movies are not great, but they're enjoyable for what they are. And the directive TV ones were not that with Robbie and Mel were not that great. But
yeah, I totally forgot they existed, quite frankly.
I mean, as long as they don't here's the thing, as long as they don't go like fucking like Riverdale levels of like bad writing and stupidity, it should be okay. But like
I think it will be fine. It's 8 episodes, right? So like you can watch it, you can trash it, and then the show probably gets canceled. So it's one of those things where Netflix is clearly seeing this is IP. We could take advantage of it. Warner Brothers is not doing much of anything with it themselves, so we'll license it. And I don't mind, man. Give me more Scooby-Doo. I am interested in seeing if they're gonna do a live action dog and then just animate the lips, or if it's gonna be a fully CGI dog. Because it's just if Scooby-Doo is completely CG, then you can do a little more with the motion design of the character and like how.
Well, here's the thing. I think they're gonna go with full CGI because the look of Scooby-Doo is so iconic that it's probably hard to find like an actual dog that looks like that or close to that. I mean, look at Crypto. Like they're fully CGIing him. I know that's different because that's a big budget movie versus a small budget TV show.
Just a Great Dane,
right?
But well, yeah, but like he has like a certain look to him, and like the live action movies did the same thing. So it depends. Whatever they decide to do, whatever. Do decide to do rude. But yeah, I like my parents watched the original show. They showed me all the shows, and then obviously I watched like a lot of Cartoon Network, so they had a lot of reruns. I had Boomerang for a while.
They had a programming block when you would have like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And then, which is the OG one. Then they would do What's New Scooby-Doo. Then they would do Scooby Junior. And then, so they had like 4 or 5. So you could watch 2.5 hours of Scooby-Doo, and they were like each like half hour was a different iteration. Yeah. So I remember back in the day, this is again one of those core to Warner Brothers franchises in animation. So the Hanna-Barbera era franchises.
I think I have one of the Scooby-Doos near here, maybe, possibly. I don't know.
Liz is like so not interested in any of this conversation. It's amazing. I did not think we would have this long of a conversation about this. But John, while you find that,
have you seen the show?
It used to be here, but it's not here anymore. It's probably with the rest of our team. But I remember we had Witch's Ghost up here way back when, but now it's just Disney stuff. But yeah, good times.
Good times indeed. Well, it's not quite good times in the movie theater, at least not for the movie theater owners right now, because 5,700 movie screens have been shut down recently, and the box office is, as we talked about at the top of the show, the first story, the box office is still slumping this year, at least, right? Theaters are still waiting for that post-pandemic comeback. They were like, it was the whole survive till 2025, and 2025 is here. But,
I mean, July is going to be a good month for them. That's for sure.
But I mean, like 1 month out of the year probably doesn't save it for the movie theaters for the whole year, right? This is the problem where I feel like no matter what happens every year since the pandemic, we just haven't quite gone to the point where it feels like movies are really back for the whole year. Because here's the thing, doing this show alone, I can tell you for the last 3 or 4 years, you feel that there's times of the year, whether it's in the spring and the fall, or especially the winter months, where we always hit like this 3 or 4 week window where there's like nothing going on with like big movies coming out. Where I remember before the pandemic, you used to have like a big movie coming out pretty much felt like every other week. So obviously with the strikes in Hollywood and the pandemic itself, it just seems like there's a lot of things that have been, just moved around.
Well, I also think a lot of it is the economy too. Like eggs are $100, movie tickets are $15. Nobody's taking a full family. The average family is what, two kids, 2.5 kids, whatever. That's $100 just for tickets alone. And nobody's doing that, and nobody has the time because we're all working so that we can afford fucking breakfast foods. Like it's, I get why nobody's in the theater anymore. It takes too much of your time, it takes too much of your money, and theaters don't really seem interested in doing a whole lot about it. I mean, like AMC theaters, for example, they have, their discount Tuesdays where tickets are like $5 or something like that. But again, who can go to the movies on a Tuesday in the middle of a work week? It's just certain things, they have the rewards program, which is great, but I don't think people are educated enough on those to really understand the overall value. And again, they don't have family plans, they have individual plans. So you still have to pay $25 a month per individual in order to use those rewards. So again, it's really not a big benefit if you're trying to bring your entire family to the theater. So a lot of things need to change, and they just seem, I don't know, too ignorant, too bullheaded, too want to make those changes to help serve their customers better. So this is what we get. Oh well.
Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of different factors, like you said. It's not
And they're charging
product.
$45 for specialty popcorn buckets. So okay, we're not doing that either.
Because there's the thing, it's you can't mine all the wrong things. You just have to improve.
I mean, we as a collective,
experience.
John, you know, I buy the goddamn popcorn buckets. They get me every time, but I also don't have a family to support, so.
By the way, we have Wear the Cape and Kyle in the chat. Hello, Kyle. We do have a Q&A session coming up in DCU Daily later, and I think we might have at least one comment from Kyle, right, John? So,
yes.
Yes. Kyle saying video killed the radio star and streaming killed the theater. You know, it's not quite dead yet, but it's heading there, and it's just, we feel like every year we are talking about still movie theaters haven't quite recovered from the pandemic. Movie theaters haven't recovered from the pandemic. I'm like, it just feels like we are still in that phase.
I feel, but that's the whole world hasn't recovered. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's why. If I can't afford to take 2 hours out of my day and spend $50 for those 2 hours, I'm not doing it. Yeah. We're all in the shit.
I think there's something
Everybody's
to be said
trying to get by.
Right, exactly. It's the whole thing about, you know, our wages have not quite adjusted for inflation, but everything else has. So people just are getting squeezed because they're not making as much money, so they don't have as much, you know, free cash to spend on things. Which, look, a movie theater experience for most people is not essential. It's like, for us, like, we're like, okay, because we love movies, right? So we will give it a higher priority in our life. But for most people, it's entertainment. It's a luxury. So when it comes to like saving on certain costs because you don't have a lot of money to move around to pay your bills, you're gonna cut things like going to the movie theater, especially when you know they're charging you, like you said, well, even just for one person to go to a movie theater, you can easily just end up like spending $30-40 just for one ticket. The concessions,
I have friends ask me all the time. They're like, how can you see all of these? I said, I don't have kids. I mean, bottom line, I don't have a family. Nobody's at home waiting for me. You know what I mean? So I'm fortunate in that regard. But this is how things are now. It's like it costs you money to leave the house, and people don't have it like that.
Well, hopefully. With more movies coming out,
that's the dream. That eventually we'll get back to that point. I don't think we will. But it's just like, obviously they can't like, we're going to make tickets fucking $5 tomorrow. And it's like, all right, that's not, but hopefully there is something. I don't think it's the fucking $2 billion. Let's put arcades and fucking bowling alleys in movie theaters.
Well, that's they changed matinee pricing too. Matinees used to be any movie before 5 o'clock was discounted. Now it's any movie before 2 p.m. Meanwhile, my theater opens at 1:30. So who the fuck are you helping? It's crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like 3-ish. It like kind of depends. It's like 45 to like maybe like 3.
And the schedule isn't the same either. I complain about it all the time. My theater used to open at 9:30 in the morning, and they would have honest to God midnight showings. They don't do that anymore either. Now they open 1:30, maybe as early as 11:30, but that's like on a Saturday. And then the latest showing is like 9:30, possibly 10 o'clock, no later than that either. So it's just not convenient for people who have regular 9-to-5s and families.
Yeah. That's why, because it's like, I have to stop myself from being like, oh yeah, I don't go to the movies that much. I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh yeah, right. Because nobody could fucking pay for them anymore. So I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot the economy is in the shitter right now.
Right.
Duh.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, look, it's gonna take a long time because there's so many different factors from the consumer side as well as from the side of the studios, like how many movies we're getting, the big movies. Consumer behavior has changed. Like, people don't go to the movie theaters to watch the same kind of movies they used to. So we can talk about this all day. We talk about it often. So let us know in the comments what you think is the problem, and are we ever gonna quite recover from the pandemic? Some of these effects just permanent now? So with that in mind, we're gonna now switch gears and we're gonna get into the quick hits. And so I want to see if I can find the music. There it is, the Bossa Nova elevator music list. So let's get into the quickest, shall we? The first of which is
kind of loud, Dan. Kind of loud.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely loud. Definitely loud.
This is weird. I feel like the levels in StreamYard have been wonky of late. Anyway, okay. Well, there you go. So time for quick hits. The first one being Black Panther 3 got an exciting release window according to a rumor. So basically, in this is from the direct, and they were talking about, hey, the third movie is now got a potential release date, and they're talking about maybe February 2028. This is from Daniel RPK, and as of right now, I don't believe that's official. This is speculation. It's not like marked as like the slot for Black Panther 3, but there is potentially an untitled Marvel Studios movie coming out in February 2028. Daniel RPK said that date is for Black Panther 3. Do you guys believe the story that February 2028 is when we get the next Black Panther movie?
It's still kind of loud, and also, I mean, to be fair, I don't know why we're talking about this at all, because it's a rumor, and it's what did they call it?
A rumor report.
No, but no, what they were referring to, like the time frame. So that's not even a legitimate date. Like nothing about this.
Like
I could give a hot dog about this. This article is just
what usually happens is, like, studios will map out, like, okay, we're gonna have a movie coming out on this weekend. They'll publicly make this information available so that other studios can plan accordingly, because what you don't want to have happen is, like, you know, a Fantastic Four movie and Superman drop on the same weekend. Well, yeah, that's not necessarily the worst thing ever. Obviously, you saw that when Batman v Superman and Captain America Civil War was set for the same date, one of them moved. BVS moved out of the way, and that's happened multiple times. So they've got 3 movies currently mapped out for 2028 for Marvel Studios. None of them are titled, so it's all untitled. One of the dates is February 18th, and so Daniel RPK, the insider, is saying that date is going to be for Black Panther 3. I think based on recent comments from even, like, you know, Denzel Washington, despite what he was not supposed to say, Ryan Coogler and everybody else involved, it would make sense that they would do February 2028, because that's just far enough out that you've gone past the next 2 Avengers movies, so things have changed enough. Like, whatever direction the MCU is going in at that point, then probably at that point would have already gotten 1 or 2 movies in that new phase, like phase 6. So it would make sense that, you know, that's when the next Black Panther movie comes out, and then it would also make sense that they will probably start filming it maybe the, you know, earliest late 2026. So the timeline would match up. I just don't know how much to trust this, because Daniel RPK is hit or miss, and so we shall see if this is actually true or not. But I didn't want to save this for MCU Weekly, because I'm like, the MCU Weekly segment is so packed already, so I just dropped this here. Now let's move on to the next quick hit. John and Liz, there were a bunch of posters that dropped for, I mean, and some of these posters were accompanied by trailers in the past week. So I just wanted to kind of quickly run through a bunch of these, and we've talked about some of these movies when the trailer dropped over the course of the last few days. But I want to get your opinion. Which of these posters interest you or excites you the most about the movie itself? Because that's really what the poster is there to do. It's there to get you excited, and then hopefully buy the poster so you spend some money on it. But any of these posters, you know, meet the eye? Like,
I mean, the Hacks poster is kind of cool. The
Hacks
Materialist one is fucking lazy, and Sinners just looks fucking dripping and fucking just style. Love it.
So excited.
I mean, the Summer I Turned Pretty, I feel like this show is just going on forever. I don't know.
Yeah, I know nothing about that show. I've not seen any clips of that show. I saw the trailer for Materialist. It looks like a cute little, you know, rom-com
like
kind of situation.
With a woman, essentially.
Yeah.
And there's a new Jane Austen movie.
This is going to make, the title is going to make a lot of people fucking angry with this.
I think that's pretty funny. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to finding out more about that. And Elio looks cute as shit now that I've seen the trailer. I'm so excited for that movie.
It does.
I don't care. It looks so cute. That stupid little tardigrade alien. Adorable.
We will see how much. But yeah, Toxic Avenger, that's another one. That's
I'm stoked for that.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
Like,
just crazy.
Fucking greatest thing ever.
And this show, the studio, by the way, is making all kinds of headlines. Like, this is
a
satire on the Hollywood system. And it just released its first 2 episodes this week on Apple TV Plus. That's gonna be like the next show that I start, because everybody's like, this is amazing, and they've got all the cameos in this. And then
it's essentially making fun of like the current studio system, right?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Exactly.
Kind of like what the franchise was, but in general, the franchise was about superhero stuff, which got canceled after 1 season because, you know, like, of course, the thing making fun of superheroes, we can't have that anymore, so that gets booted. But yeah, this I've heard a lot of things about this, and it has me curious, so maybe I'll give it a watch. I don't know, but we'll see.
Well, John, you're in the right show, or you're on the right show to address any level of curiosity.
Yay,
about
amateur!
movies.
I'm looking forward to this one.
This is
Dang.
such a fucking shitty fucking poster, though. I'm
It
so
is.
excited for this movie.
It
This
looks
is
like
a
TV show.
This was
poster.
like,
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it almost looks like
fucking
iRobot a little bit.
man, you can make something better in Photoshop in
I
5
can.
minutes than these fucking idiots did.
It's-
Like, this is
fair.
so fucking. And look at
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne.
I'm
He looks
so excited for this
adorable.
movie, though.
Th-
so pumped.
Stoked. Great.
He
Great
looks
looking
like
movie, but like,
in the-
fuck, this looks terrible.
like when they did the photo op for this, like all the promotional images, he just like looked away because somebody was walking his coffee to him, and then like they just like, that's it, that's the one, put it on the poster.
No, they were
That's-
waving the paycheck in front of him, and
Yeah.
he's like, "What's that?" Click.
Yeah, this is a very. I mean, I get they're going for the minimalist thing, but I will say though, this movie's trailer has been like shoved in my face everywhere. So at least on broadcast television, like anytime I turn on the TV, this is like one of the commercials. I have no idea what Shadow Force is, but hey, Omar
Yeah,
Sy and Kerry
I know fuck
Washington.
all about
Like
this.
generic crap.
But you know what? I do
I mean, it's
agree
Kerry
with-
Washington in an action flick, so that's kind of cool.
Enterprising is famous, ladies and gents. Apparently,
Hey.
they were an extra in one of the studio episodes.
That is awesome. You gotta tell us which one.
Cool. You gotta tell us which episode,
Then we can stalk you.
and we will.
We will.
Kidding, kidding. That was a joke.
No,
I,
we will.
By the way, what I will say is Shadow Force, the tagline is perfect, family over everything. I think they got the right idea there.
What's
Is
real is family.
I hope he's a producer on the show, or it's just a waste of time. It's a missed opportunity.
I hope so.
This
too.
looks like the most generic action movie ever made.
You know what though?
I mean, I'll
It's
see it.
But wouldn't you guys say this poster is more creative and technically
No,
better
they look
than the
terrible in it.
amateur?
No, honestly, they look terrible in it.
No, it looks terrible.
Look at Kerry Washington. How Photoshop could she possibly be? That's horrible.
They clearly
her dirty
replaced
on
most
that.
of her
She-
hair and then
She looks
airbrushed
like
the
she's
heck out
not
of her
even
face.
holding the gun. Like,
No, that part looks fine. I just think
No,
they
they did
airbrushed
her face looks
and her
yeah.
hair looks like they
It's like
completely
they
replaced it.
put her face on somebody else's
Yeah.
body is what they did, and
Or
did
they
a shit
relit it.
job.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
real bad.
it's
Poor
not
Kerry
good.
Washington, you deserve better, girl. You're a queen.
Yeah. She's got a
Anyway.
great show on Apple TV Plus. I mean, I keep advertising Apple TV Plus. Go watch her. Everybody's on Apple TV Plus. Seth Rogen's on Apple TV
So,
Plus. John Hamm's on Apple TV Plus.
Enterprising is saying they're in one of the last episodes, a member
Really?
of the Cinecon audience. So
Cool.
I'm gonna look out for you.
Well, now I'm
Dude.
gonna watch it just specifically to find you. Very cool.
We're-
And I will.
I'm
find
gonna be
you.
starting that show soon. I can't wait to see you in there, man. All right, the next story. This is I'll start again. This is from Steven Soderbergh, who was recently talking about how
Soderbergh.
whatever.
Soderbergh.
Steven was recently talking. I'm on a first name basis with him now.
SS.
He was talking about how Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, and Florence Pugh,
Mhm.
while they have become basically A-listers, it's still hard to kind of cast them in roles which feel like the right fit. Basically, I
Yeah.
mean, you saw these comments, Liz. What are your thoughts on what Steven Soderbergh had to say about?
Well, I mean, again, it's kind of along the lines of the conversation we had yesterday, where it's like, people want them to be relatable, they don't want them to be untouchable, but at the same time, they need to be tremendously talented. They need to, make all these contributions to the cinema world and to the studios, and so we're asking a hell of a lot of these stars and then turning around and being like, but you're mid. And it's like, well, okay, what the fuck? Like, the expectations are just out of this world now for these guys. And it's a real shame, because it's like they're being set up for failure when they deliver time and time again. I love Florence Pugh. I love Timothée Chalamet. I love Zendaya. I think they're all extremely talented. I look forward to every project that they're a part of, because they seem to make really good decisions.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that they're still kind of overlooked. I mean, Timothy dressing like a stick of butter at the Oscars, maybe not the right move to get attention.
Zendaya
But
dressing
hey.
like a robot on one of the premiere.
Yeah, but that made sense because it was Dune. Like, that made sense, and she looked great. So leave her alone.
It's just like.
And she's a model, so like it also makes sense.
Of course. I mean, I agree, because it's like, I'm gonna try and find the right words here, but it's just like, it's just such a it's a different landscape now. It's a different like movie theater, not a movie theater, movie system right now. Like how movies are made, how they're marketed, budgets, all that shit. So it's very different from when like you have like all like it's hard because it's like you have all these like legendary actors that are still working, that are, you know, like Sir Anthony Hopkins or Denzel Washington, who are just fucking absolutely legendary, but it's like they had to work to become legendary, you know? These guys are in the place of working to become that level of status, but it feels like there's almost more obstacles because of what the landscape is. You have like streaming, social media, social networking, all that shit. So you have all that, and then you have like that. You have like fucking douchebags that are like, fucking Zendaya looks like she's fucking anorexic and she needs to fucking eat something. You have like all those dipshits.
Yeah.
And they're like, you have all over like fucking Florence Pugh's crying face is fucking stupid looking or whatever the fuck, whatever the trend is to hate women this week. So it's so they have to like, not saying like the stars of like the 50s, 60s, 70s didn't have to go through that. Probably they had to go through a lot of different obstacles of less rights and, you know, like look at fucking Garland and shit like that. But it's just like in terms of like the landscape of like surface level stuff, it's a little bit more difficult because they're trying to get that foothold and trying to become like the next generation of great stars, or the next generation of great actors, because as we all know, no stars are being made anymore. But and so it's like it's just hard to weave, and then you have like every douchebag and asshole with opinion that have to have have a privilege and a right to say anything and everything, that they have to fucking navigate through that shit too. So it's a whole rigmarole. Yeah. This is a bigger discussion than
it's a damned if you do situation.
So let's try to move on.
We will have a whole panel discussion on this one day. All right. Well, Liz, you sent this to me as we were live, or as we are live. I did. Renee Zellweger, of course, hot off the latest Bridget Jones movie, which pretty much wraps up that franchise. She's now joining the 5th season of Only Murders in the Building. What are your thoughts on this, guys?
I love this show. This is one of the shows that I actually do get the chance to watch. So I'm excited. Every time they add somebody new, it's just like, ooh, what are they going to do? Are they going to be the bad guy? Are they going to be just an aloof side character? It's always so fun whenever they have guest stars on. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Again, I'm going to be interested in seeing if she plays herself, like what we saw if it's some of the guest stars in the last season, or is she going to be playing some new interesting character? She's, of course, a 2-time Oscar winner, so she brings a lot of clout with that. Now, of course, speaking of clout, Taylor Sheridan has all the clout over at Paramount, and it looks like a Yellowstone spin-off series is being eyed by CBS, starring Luke Grimes and Spencer Hudnut.
Another one.
What else is fucking new? God, like fucking with the amount of goddamn fucking Yellowstone spinoffs, I could wipe my ass with how many there are. Like, God, Jesus Christ.
Except the big thing is
Luke Grimes here looks a lot like Kyle Gallner. I'm just gonna say that.
Well, and now I'm running into a unique problem where because there's so many spinoffs, I don't have time to get to any of them. So give me a chance here, for Christ's sake. What are they taking, from the Marvel freaking pages?
Marvel,
like, what are you doing
Star
here?
Trek, Star Wars. Can't catch up on anything.
Yeah, I am actually almost caught up with modern Star Trek. I think I'm only behind on Strange New Worlds. I don't watch the animated show, so don't even talk to me about Lower Decks. But by the way, this new show, this spin-off would be on CBS. So this is not gonna go to like Paramount Plus or the Paramount Network like the original Yellowstone show. This would be on like the big CBS network. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, again, Taylor Sheridan can sell them, water in the ocean, and Paramount would buy it. So anyway, Chask Spencer has joined AMC's Dark Winds for season 4. Interested? Have you guys heard about this show?
No idea.
I've heard of this show.
Yeah,
I've heard of this show. I didn't know it's been on for 3 seasons already, so I feel kind of bad. I kind of want to check it out because I do like some of the cast on the show, but again, I just don't have that kind of time.
John McCallion, I think his name is. I like him. If you need a Native American actor, you get that dude. Like he's
so great.
Every
though.
time
He
there's
was
like
great in
Native American
Reservation
anything
Dogs.
based, you get that guy because he was in Echo. He was in Doctor Sleep. He's been in a whole bunch of shit. He's a really good actor.
Reservation Dogs. Yeah.
Well, anything Native American, he shows up.
I mean, he's a character actor.
Even
right?
then, he's a very good actor.
He's good. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, the show is gonna be back for season 4, and now we have a new cast member. Speaking of new cast members, it looks like Gerard. Why are all these ads showing up? Get out of my face. Gerardo Calasco. I am not doing good with names today. And Marta Milans. Marta was in Shazam, right? She was the mom. She was the adopted mother. So they both joined Bill Dubuque's Peacock crime thriller MIA, and this interests me because I just finished watching The Day of the Jackal today, and Peacock seemed to get their crime thrillers right, or like action adventure thrillers pretty good. So yeah, I mean, MIA sounds interesting to me. Liz, is this something that interests you at all?
Not really. I mean, again, I just don't have the time.
Well, the show is coming, gonna be show run by Bill Dubuque, who worked on Ozark. So there's some.
I mean, that's cool.
Prestige there, I suppose. Watson has now been renewed for season 2 at CBS. Have you guys been watching this show?
No, but I did hear.
I've never even heard of this show.
I did hear about it. Yeah.
I get ads for this all the time, but also because my soon-to-be former employer is CBS. So there you go. Basically, I would see the ads all the time. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. This is now we're getting into a Liz special territory because there are 2 stories that Liz has brought to our attention because it's a fantastic movie and we had to talk about it. Indie thriller Candlewood has now landed a distribution deal with Mill Creek Entertainment. Liz, what can you tell us about this movie and obviously the distribution deal? What does this mean for the movie Candlewood getting this with Mill Creek Entertainment?
Well, first of all, the movie Candlewood was directed and co-written and produced by my podcast producer, Mike Furman. I went to high school with the man. Movie posters right there. Saw the premiere here in my town. It was filmed partially in my town. Actually, the majority of it was filmed here in my town, in my hometown. Some of my hometown residents are in this film. I interviewed one of the gentlemen, Jeffrey Solomon, who's one of the main characters in this film, on my podcast, Try Not to Curse. Please check it out. I'm just so proud. I'm just so excited. This has been like 3 years of my podcast producer's life. Mike has worked really, really hard on this. It's been a passion project of his. Someone brought him the script and said, hey, help me out. We want to get this made. And here we are. So it did have a small theater run. And then when it got the distribution, had another theater run, but now it's available on Apple TV and Amazon and Google. So please check it out. It's a thriller, but there is some gory shit in it as well. I will say it's not a full-on horror movie in that regard, but I hope everybody gets a chance to check it out. And also my state senator is in it, and he's also been on the podcast as well. So it's just this full circle moment. I'm just so proud of everybody. It's really cool.
That's amazing. I want to hang out with your crew, Liz. Next story is this is another one you sent me. Alex Hooper sets a stand-up comedy special, Brace Yourself, about his cancer journey. What do you think about this one, Liz?
Yes. So also this was directed, shot, and edited by my podcast producer, Mike Furman. He's a very good friend of Alex Hooper's. They've worked together in the past. Some of my other friends from high school were front row in the audience and actually make appearances in this special as well. So it's just, I wanted to share with the guys because that's 2 Variety articles about my buddy and his productions within like a week. So it's just really exciting. Again, YouTube, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, check it out. I have not had the chance to watch this special yet. I'm probably going to catch it tomorrow, but I've heard clips. I've heard some quotes from it, and I'm really excited because it sounds absolutely hilarious. And it's pretty great because Alex Hooper has gone through a very long battle with cancer. So he kind of talks about, all the stressful, but yet, he finds a way to turn negatives into positives,
Yeah.
and can make you laugh, over such a dark subject matter. So I definitely encourage everybody to check it out. So you've got two different things there. So you've got like a scary thriller, and then you've got this laugh out loud comedy based in reality. So you've got some options. Check them out.
A lot of diversity, that's for sure. And then also,
Yeah.
I mean, Liz, it's been out now for a week, so hopefully it's doing well. I haven't seen the
Ron, I'm
numbers.
so sorry you listened to the most recent episode. I tried to warn you, buddy. I tried to warn you. But that's a great
Ouch.
episode, though. I'm really proud of it, to be perfectly fair. But yeah.
I haven't listened to it, so I can't speak to that, but I'm now very intrigued.
Don't listen to it while you're eating. That's all I'll say.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got
clearly, because Ron already made that mistake.
it. Ouch. Ouch. Well, hey, Steven has been aching to talk about Avengers, so this does bring us to a close of the quickest part of the show, so we can hit a pause on that music. But guys, let us know what you thought about all the news. Not a heavy news day, but of course we got some Black Panther 3 potentially coming out in February of 2028. That's a rumor that Daniel RPK was talking about. So believe it or not, but that's out there. Of course, a bunch of TV renewals and cancellations and spin-offs coming out soon. Liz's friend has got Candlewood and the Alex Hooper stand-up special out there, so
Yeah.
you guys can check that out.
And I do talk to producer Mike about making Candlewood on the podcast
Yes.
a couple of times as well. So
Check
again,
out the
full
podcast.
circle moment. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. And while you're at it, hit the like button and then hit subscribe if you're new, because we're here doing this 5 days a week, and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. So now let's switch gears. And before we get to the DC part of the show today, oh my God, we have to talk about Avengers Doomsday, because they took up, if you watch the live stream, 5.5 hours of your day to tell you, not by bringing everybody out other than an RDJ, they just brought out empty chairs with names of the actors that are in the movie. But you know what? We will eat that up, because it looks like we finally have the cast of Avengers Doomsday. So let's get that conversation started. Liz and John, I want to bring you guys in, because we have a bunch of DC news coming up later in the show, but this was the big news of the day. So I'll start with you, Liz, since you are the super fan. I just want to get your initial reaction to everything, because we have to break this down. We have to talk about who's missing.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Oscars. We have to talk about like the snubs, the surprises, the who's potentially a dark horse to steal the show.
I still refuse to believe that this
Yeah.
is the final list. Like this, yes, this may be like the main cast, but there's going to be flashbacks. There's going to be alternate things. We're going to see way more people show up, familiar faces. But I mean, I'm excited, and I'm because it is quite the variety of characters. I'm interested to see how they all play into this and connect. So it's very exciting for me. And I'm looking at the list, and it's like, well, obviously Paul Rudd's going to come back. Well, obviously Sebastian Stan's going to come back. Like certain ones, I'm like, of course they are.
There's
But
a few,
I mean,
like Anthony Mackie,
but like old
and-
school. I mean, the old school X-Men, the original X-Men. That's what's
Yep.
really exciting. Rebecca Romijn coming back. I never thought I'd see her don the Mystique outfit again. Sir
I don't know
Patrick
how they
Stewart,
convinced her to do
Ian
that. That's
McKellen.
going to be interesting.
Yeah, but even Alan Cumming, like, holy shit, I can't believe he's coming back. That's gonna be really
I
special.
hope they don't make him
I'm-
scale the White House like ceiling again.
Yeah.
I don't think he can really do that anymore.
Yeah, so I'm so Caleb's saying they're surprised they got Ian and Sir Pat. I should say Sir Ian and Sir Patrick will, if they get to work together, they'll do it. So I mean, that's pretty much the reason that I think they got both to agree, because it's like, oh, is Sir Patrick in? Oh, is Sir Ian in? Yeah, okay, then they'll be a part of it.
I mean, but not only that, you
so
got
yeah.
Kelsey Grammer, you have Channing Tatum. We're about to make a name for myself here.
Yeah, well,
He's
and again,
back.
Steven,
James
hell yeah,
Marsden.
they're a lot older, but again, we're working in multiverse here, so they can. I mean, Professor X may be on his deathbed when we see him. Like, we don't know like I said, we have no idea how the worlds are going to collide, how it's going to make sense for the plot, for the storyline. But when it comes to the multiverse, nobody gives a shit about aging, because we can just write that into the story. So that's not a concern in any regard for me. Yeah, I'm pumped. I mean, again, not exactly happy that Channing is playing Gambit, but as I was saying to John before, he is a super fan, and I appreciate the passion. So you know what? I know at the very least, even though it's not going to be the best effort, he is going to put in 100%, and it is what it is. But I'm not mad about it. You know, I'm an MCU stan till I die, so it's all good.
Well, here's how we should what we're gonna do from here is let's break it down a little bit. Let's talk about, like I said, we're gonna talk about this like it's the Oscars, even though this, I mean, obviously not the Oscars, but there was, for me, the first big surprise was I was swiping through the photos and I saw Patrick Stewart. I'm like, oh, wait, what? And then the next one has Ian McKellen, and then you just keep going, and all of a sudden there's like 6 X-Men in there. To me, that was a big surprise.
Finally, we've just been waiting 20 years.
I mean, and then Tom Hiddleston obviously is, well, not obviously, because we weren't really sure, because we were like, are we done with Loki now? But remember there was a rumor about Doctor Doom. We talked about this like either this week or late last week, where somebody was talking about how potentially the story of Doomsday might focus on which side gets to Loki first, because he's now the Loki who remains, so he's in charge of all the timelines, and so that's how the multiverse kind of plays into this, is they're trying to get to Loki and then I guess like get him to do something or be on their side of whatever conflict there is, and Doctor Doom kind of does that. But the way they're advertising it right now, it's all leads to Doom, which we will try to talk about a little bit later. So it's, to me, it gives a little more credence to the idea that Loki theory might be true, or at least somewhat on the right track, because Tom Hiddleston is now officially part of the cast.
Well, and let's not forget the variant factor as well. So we don't know that they're coming back as their original character or as variants from another timeline, another universe.
Yeah. That, you know,
there's a lot of variables that are going to come.
That'd be pretty disappointing if that's what they end up doing. But you know what? I will be excited to see Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston share the screen for the first time as Thor and Loki since Avengers Endgame. So
yeah,
that's a reunion that people have been waiting for a long time. Now, of course, all the Fantastic Four cast members, like all the main team from the new movie, are back as well. They're gonna return for this movie, which isn't a surprise. We all expected that to be the case. But let's kind of dive into the well, actually, you know what? We're gonna just stick with this article. Let's dive into all the people that are showing up. Kelsey Grammer is another name that we didn't really mention, but we shouldn't
again,
be surprised,
not a surprise that he signed on,
because he was in that the Marvel's post-credit sequence, playing basically what's now an all CGI beast, as opposed to him wearing a bodysuit. I know John's not a big fan of having James Marsden back, so I'm sorry, John.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily a fan either, to be perfectly fair.
But yeah, I just want to get John, what is your reaction to this? Like, what are you looking forward to? Are you surprised by this? What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
To quote Mr. Hiddleston as Loki from, I believe, Thor: The Dark World, "You must be truly desperate to come to me for help." Like, that's what it is. They are so fucking pathetically desperate to get people back on their side. They're like, all right, we'll get the Fox X-Men up in this bitch. We're gonna fucking announce everything so we know that we're gonna get your asses in the fucking seats. Thank you for putting my meme on the screen. Feel free to copy it. Feel free to do whatever. I don't mind.
Screenshot and spread it on the internet is what John is telling you.
Spread them cheeks. Anyway, it's just
okay.
It's just so fucking desperate. Like, it's sincerely pathetic at this point, and it's so funny because when the fucking Disney bought Fox, all the fucking MCU stands were like, finally, the fucking Fox X-Men, they fucking sucked. Fuck Fox, fuck X-Men. We have them now. Look at all the same motherfuckers that are fucking jerking off the news that we're getting Sir Ian and Sir Patrick back once again as their fucking famous roles. Ain't that fucking interesting, you little fucking bandwagon jumper little fucking
I mean,
shit.
I will say that's all I wanted in elementary school was for Sir Pat Stew to play Professor X. So when the announcement was made when I was in sophomore year of high school in 10th grade, I nearly pissed my pants. I was so fucking excited. I love the Fox X-Men with the exception of James. So I'm over the moon that they're coming back. I want to see more of them. I know Ron in the comments said something about he wants young X-Men. I fucking hate the young X-Men. I'm sick and tired of fucking teenager stories. Like there are other generations in this world that actually can do shit too. So I'm sick and tired of whiny little fucking, I gotta deal with high school and then I gotta go like fight because I don't have any free time. But like, fuck it. Like we did that with Buffy. We did that with Spider-Man. We don't need that in every fucking iteration of entertainment. I'm over it. That being said, I love Spider-Man.
Well, not all the
so,
X-Men
calm
are.
down.
I don't think he means like younger. I think he means younger.
No,
than
I think he does.
X-Men we're getting with Doomsday, considering all these people are in their 50s and 60s, and then you have Sir Patrick and Sir Ian, they're in their 80s at this point, which I don't mind. Like it's like if I was actually seeing this movie, I would be like, okay,
till
cool.
they're 90, John. Till they're 90.
That's fine. Like I don't mind. I don't have like an elderly bias like you do, so you know I don't mind that. But it's just like here's the thing. I would want to see not just the same people over and I want to see other people get those roles. Now, whatever age, it depends on what they're doing.
Well, so again,
with
the multiverse, with the variants, I have a strong feeling we're going to get multiples of everybody, and they're going to actually use this as a vehicle to introduce upcoming cast, new cast, a fresher cast for future films. I think they're going to use this opportunity to introduce people to them that way. So I think we are going to get that.
Let's kind of break this down a little bit more, right? I think the one thing we have to talk about is the story implications for the rest of the MCU slate leading up to and potentially even after this movie. But especially leading up to it, because getting into Avengers Doomsday, we would have seen Fantastic Four and we would have seen Thunderbolts. Now, Fantastic Four, more or less, we expect the whole team to make it through alive, and it seems like all 4 members are going to be in this movie. So that's kind of, you tuck that away to the side, nothing that is not, unexpected there. On a certain level, some people were unsure if Chris Hemsworth was going to come back as Thor, because he's made statements saying, oh, I'm kind of interested, but also I'm kind of like winding down my acting career. So that's a good confirmation. I mentioned to you guys in our private chat before the show went live, the Thunderbolts, they of course are, that whole story is predicated on the idea of they're disposable, right? Like the Suicide Squad, right? So I think when you look at the cast here, you've got Bucky Barnes, you've got Yelena Belova, you've got Sentry, you've got Red Guardian. I'm so happy that Red Guardian's not dying now. You've got Ghost there.
Again, it could be a multiverse situation. They could die in Thunderbolts, and then the remaining cast find them somewhere else, just like with Guardians.
Here's the thing.
I don't think they're gonna pull that. That feels too cheap.
I don't think they're gonna do
it. It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. I don't think they're gonna do it. And it also strays against the theory that Sentry was gonna die at the end of Thunderbolts. That was a long-standing.
And he's gonna distribute his powers among everybody else, which made no sense to me.
Fucking stupid. But it was, so that confirms that. The only one that's not coming, that is not confirmed, do this casting member, is Taskmaster, and that was my theory, because Taskmaster's the character nobody gave a fuck about, and all the comic book fans were like, that's not Taskmaster, that's some bitch, like that's not the character at all.
Olga Kurylenko is a good actress.
She's a very good actor, but like
she was wasted. That whole
she was wasted. The character of Taskmaster, who's a really cool Avengers level.
Who knows? Maybe she's gonna get a spin-off Disney Plus series. You know, like they do that shit.
But here's the thing: I think the vibe I'm getting from Taskmaster is she's gonna be the Slipknot of the crew, where she's just gonna fucking like die within the first like half an hour of the movie, and then like boom, go on, and then all the people that have faces and we care about, those guys are gonna live as per this announcement. So that, I mean, to be fair, Taskmaster dying, that was the vibe I was getting, because they were like, we still have this character. She's like she's a known character. Like Taskmaster is a huge character in the comics, so it's, that's obviously, like a thing. So they're like, all right, let's bring her in, fucking kill her off, then we don't have to worry about her. Then we can bring like maybe the actual Taskmaster into the MCU, whether it's a variant or not, or just like a new guy that takes the role. So, you know, like it's like, but it's just like, I love how it's like, because my friend who was like complaining the entire way, he's like, yep, this just confirms that none of the Thunderbolts are coming.
But you know, there's still, it feels like, obviously, like Jean Grey's missing, like Hunter Iggy said.
Yeah, Famke Jensen's
and then
not part
Steven
of the
Ortega mentioned the no Ghost Rider. But I feel like there's a lot more than that that's missing here, because these articles you've been talking about so far, they all keep talking about, it looks like Doomsday's hedging his bets with bringing in a lot of, not just X-Men, but the Fox X-Men characters. Like they're going real heavy with those.
Where's all the and where are all the Netflix people? So like, where's Daredevil? Where's Punisher?
No, well, none of the Defenders really, and then not to mention the vast majority of the MCU characters are not here, right? Like we talked about before the show, you got Chris Hemsworth, but you don't have Chris Pratt or Chris Evans. So 2 out of your 3 Chris's are missing. But
which again, I feel like there's no way this is the whole list. This is
and
just
then this is the other thing that
here's the thing.
I believe you, Liz, by the way, because Dr. Doom. So Benedict Cumberbatch said he was gonna be in Doomsday after he said he wasn't. But he's not in the list here. So then I'm wondering what's anyway, John, go ahead.
He'll be in there. And the other Benedict will be there too, probably.
Here's the thing though. So that's like this could be just like the main cast. There's probably gonna be cameos, smaller stuff. But remember, for Infinity War, they didn't have everybody. Like they didn't have Hawkeye in Infinity War. He was a main like Avenger. And so they could be saving people for Secret Wars, because that's the bigger that's the movie that's like bigger, like that's based on not one, but they said they're gonna source both stories called Secret Wars. So that's the bigger story, that's the adaptation, that's the big thing. And this is probably most likely, considering that they're going back to back, much like Infinity War and Endgame, it's going to be another 2-parter Avengers story.
100%.
So
100%.
Exactly. So because I mean,
possibly even a trilogy. They don't fuck around. Why not?
It's just like I mean, Doctor Doom was a huge part of Secret Wars, so you know it's pretty obvious that they're probably this is like main cast, probably gonna have smaller cameos, but they're probably gonna have even more people for Secret Wars. They're probably gonna bring Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds back for Secret Wars. They might even bring it back, like fucking, you know, Tobey Maguire, maybe even Andrew Garfield. They might bring those fuckers back. They might bring, you know, other people. They'll fucking probably bring back Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Like at this point, like they're probably gonna bring him back before Charlie Cox.
You don't have the Silver Surfer from the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, they could probably see fucking Yoan Gruffett and Jessica Alba could fucking come in, even though they already have their Fantastic Four now. So it's like,
goddamn Dakota Johnson. Ugh.
But okay, so I want to go through this article real quick because they listed out 10 major characters. I mean, including the 2 that are right there at the top of the article that are missing from the Doomsday cast. So let's kind of quickly talk about this. Obviously, I think Tom Holland is missing. So that no Spider-Man, not only Tom Holland's, but like you said, none of the other Spider-Men are there either. Are you surprised that there's no Spider-Man
Jared Leto.
in this Doomsday
Where's Jared
movie?
Leto?
I mean, you know, I think they forgot that Jared Leto ever did a Marvel movie, and I think that's probably for the best.
Caleb will never forget.
But I mean, Liz, are you surprised that we're not getting any Spider-Man? I mean, especially Tom Holland Spider-Man, who's gonna be shooting the 4th Spider-Man movie.
No, I don't. They're gonna be there. I don't think I don't believe anything. I feel like not that they wasted 5 hours of everybody's time, but this is a rope-a-dope, gang. They're showing you this. Look over here, pay attention to this, because they want to surprise us all when the actual film comes out, and surprise us they will. And I'm here for it. Am I gonna see it 10 times in the theaters like I did with Endgame? Maybe. Who fucking knows? All I know is I can't wait, and it's gonna be wonderful, and John's probably gonna hate it, and I'm gonna be upset with John.
Watching
that's fine. See, even there you go, even better. So I'm all about it. I don't give a shit what they do. I'm happy.
So among the other characters
Let me
that are
have
missing,
freaking Channing Tatum as Gambit. Fine.
dude, I'm there for it. I am there for it. But among the other characters that are missing, obviously Doctor Strange is not there, so no Benedict Cumberbatch. So that kind of confirms maybe one of the 2 things that he said about like, oh, he isn't in this one, he might be in the next one. We also don't have Charlize Theron's Clea, so that's the other one that's missing here. And then of course no Deadpool, so no Ryan Reynolds. You got no Captain Marvel with Brie
no
Larson.
Captain Marvel, no Thanos, no
You
Scarlet
have no
Witch.
Tiana Paris as Photon.
Where's Nick Fury at? Yeah.
Yeah, where's Nick Fury? There's no Star-Lord. We talked about no Chris Pratt, no
Yep.
Hulk, no Bruce Banner Hulk. You don't have Hawkeye. So a lot of the OG Avengers are not there. So I mean, I know Jeremy Renner might still be around, but in the MCU, but he's not going to be in this one. I mean, no Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, like we talked about. No Elizabeth Olsen. Looks like she was right. She's saying, "Look, I'm in the U.S. filming other things. I'm not going to be in these movies." So, I mean, but like these are all significant names. You look at most of these the top 10 names.
Yeah.
All of outside of let's take out
No
Wolverine,
Paul Bettany, no Guardians,
no Vision.
Yeah.
But if you take out Wolverine, you take out Photon because they technically were never Avengers. Everybody, and then Deadpool as well. But like everybody else, like so 7 out of these 10 characters in this article are all significant part of the Avengers teams from the last 2 Avengers movies. So it is maybe. Do you think this is? Let me pose the question. Do you think this is more insight for us about what the story might be? Because the way if it is a 2-parter, are they reversing maybe the cadence a little bit? Because remember, Infinity War was like the one where like so many people were there and everybody got a lot of screen time. Then Endgame became more of a let's focus on the core 6, and then we bring everybody in for the final fight. Do you think here they're sort of doing things in reverse? And also the fact that when you look at these characters that are missing, Tom Holland would still be considered the future of the MCU. Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange is the president of the future of the MCU. Deadpool, I don't know about that so much. Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, I can imagine they want to do more stuff with her. Photon as well. No Miss Marvel, by the way. Star-Lord, I can understand he might not be doing much with the MCU anyway. His character arc is pretty much done.
I mean,
same with Bruce
But
Banner.
again, Miss Marvel has been brought up in the new Daredevil, so they clearly haven't forgotten about her, so they're probably going to be using her for other projects. Yeah.
So when you look at it though, I mean, it looks like because Shang-Chi's there, that's good.
Yep.
But I do want no Moon Knight, none of those characters there. So I'm wondering, like, what is the goal here? Like, it feels like the
goal
really
is to get
leaning on
butts in
nostalgia.
seats, and then they'll have us. They're gonna bring in some surprises. They're gonna hook us for the second film. That's what the goal is.
It's almost like it's short-term gain, for long-term pain, because are they
they're
really
edging us.
elevating right? Are they really elevating any of the newer generation? By the way, I was very surprised that Tenek Huerta Mejia is there. Like Namor is coming back because he had some like personal controversy after the last Black Panther movie came out, but I suppose it never got far enough that he had to leave Marvel. So hey, Namor is gonna be there, but we're not gonna have a new Black Panther. That was something we were speculating about.
I will say, in regards to like Namor and Sue Storm being in the same movie, that's gonna be interesting. That's
Speaking of which, no Halle Berry. So that's.
I mean, is that really a loss?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have minded seeing that.
I didn't hate her in the X-Men movies, but like in comparison to her character in the comics, who's like so fucking insanely powerful and has like a lot of layers, Halle Berry's Storm was pretty one note.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they only have so much of a budget. Like, they can't.
They have so much of a budget. They have so much screen time, and then the X-Men.
There's no Anna Paquin. There's
still
a lot of other people that could be a part of this for sure.
Yeah, so I do wonder, like, again, what the story might be. I mean, John, you kind of hinted at it a little bit. Do you feel like this is actually now becoming maybe potentially, and this is a theory that I want to bring up. By the way, before we get to the theory, there was no need for this to be a 5.5-hour stream.
But I didn't even know about this. Like, they didn't advertise it. They didn't make it like an event. There was I could understand if they were making it an event, but to just kind of post it and be like, watch this for 5 hours. It's weird.
No, but it was live. It was live. It wasn't like they posted it. It was live. So like you couldn't skip ahead. So
that's annoying too.
Yeah, the only reason why I think this works from a PR standpoint and marketing standpoint is because it keeps you in the headlines for those 5.5 hours.
Oh, 100%.
Because I saw on social media they were updating posts like, okay, these are the names we have so far. Oh, another one. It was like.
But again, advertise it better. I knew nothing about this. I probably would have had it on in the background and been like, oh shit, they're adding another chair now. Like.
But it's like one of those things where you could watch the whole Apple event, or you can just wait till the end of the Apple event, just watch the highlight videos, and you get all the information, read the article, and you got it, right? So I understand what they were going for. I still don't think it was necessary. But John, I was teasing this earlier. The theory, given, and then Liz, you chime in as well. What you think? Given the names that we have now, you look at the number of chairs, you count the number of actors. Despite the amount of people we have talked about that are missing, they still have like almost 36 just lead cast members, seemingly, including, of course, Robert Downey Jr. himself, who may or may not be playing more than one character. Who knows?
Which, gang, I said this to Dan. I think they're leaning too heavily on RDJ to the point where they're gonna make audiences sick of him before the movie comes out, which is a real shame. So they need to back the fuck off, because I'm getting annoyed. Like they're putting too much weight on him as like the heart and soul of the MCU, which, like, I get it. Yeah, Iron Man was like technically the first film, but they're doing way too much with him, and I'm getting pretty frustrated about it. So that's just my opinion, but they need to stop it with like let the man live. Like,
I mean, look, I will say this though: RDJ is, and will continue to be the heart and soul of the MCU. Like, he is the MCU in a lot of ways.
Like, that's fine, and I get that he's all in, but I mean, it's like James Gunn, at the end of last year, like, okay, we don't need to see you every fucking day. Like,
no, that's I understand that too. I do. But now, going back to the theory I was trying to get to earlier.
Sorry.
Given the cast members, given how we're trying to, and it's okay, Liz, but like, given that they're trying to do all this, I'm gonna call it's nostalgia bait.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you think we're getting an Avengers versus X-Men movie here? Like, is this really what this is? And they're just not telling us that this is because they keep saying it all leads to Doomsday. That's what that image was saying earlier that we looked at. It all, like, it's now in production. It all leads to Doom. It all leads to Doom. So it seems like
it's a good running theory that, like, that's how they come together, because Doom might pit the two against one another via miscommunication and events constructed by his own design. That's a very good possibility. I don't know. Well, again, there's the variant, the multiverse, the timelines, there's all kinds of things that could happen. There's a myriad of possibilities.
Here's the thing, though, in regards to that. So you're telling me a big, strong, extremely evil villain who's really intelligent is causing two separate factions of heroes to fight one another. You're just redoing Captain America Civil War and Batman versus Superman. Like, you're just redoing that. However, Brian Michael Bendis did write a story in 2012 called Avengers versus X-Men. So it's not like totally lost on source material. So that could be the case. That could be an interesting thing. Well, I mean, not interesting, but like an interesting way to go. It would be fucking beyond stupid, and you would be essentially rehashing what came before. But hey, remember Captain America Civil War and how much money that made and how much people loved it? Well, we're doing that again, but it's with X-Men. So it's like, yeah, I could see them fucking doing that.
I mean, until we get a trailer, we just
got a lot of blue people in this. In this,
didn't you say that Marvel loves blue? So here you
I mean, here's the thing: this will probably be the better blue people movie than fucking Avatar 722. So I'll give them that.
Smurfs movie, don't count them out.
But
they got Rihanna
I will,
this time.
because fuck the Smurfs movie.
So a quick, just and the last thought on this, because I think we can talk about this all day, and I'm sure we will talk about this in detail in the days to come, because there'll be more information and theories. But the last thing I wanted to kind of mention for today on this topic, at least, because we have a Daredevil review that we got to get to. So we talk about all the time who's on the lunchbox, right? Who are the Avengers? What are the Avengers? Like, I want you to restart the Avengers. Like, that was the whole part, like the big deal in the last Captain America movie, and Anthony Mackie supposedly is now heading off doing that. You look at all these characters here, and the vast majority of the characters who aren't like Fox X-Men characters, they're coming from recent movies. I mean, Shang-Chi is like the only one who feels like we haven't seen him in years, but then Wakanda Forever, it was relatively recent. Loki obviously is one of the OGs. Chris Hemsworth is one of the OGs. But then when you look at all the other characters outside of the Fox characters that whether it was from Deadpool and Wolverine like Channing Tatum, or like the OG ones like James Marsden and stuff, you've got like all the Thunderbolts, you've got Ant-Man. Like, I don't see, like, here's the thing. Honestly, I don't see this being as star-studded as like the previous Avengers movies. Like, I don't relate to most of these characters as much because I haven't gotten to see them as much. Or like, we would have had one Fantastic Four movie, one Captain America 4 with the current Captain America and the current sorry, not Black Panther, but the current Falcon. And so my concern is, where's the star power outside of RDJ? I mean, RDJ is the only. I mean, sure, yeah, you have Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, right? I get that, and you have Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America. You have Thor coming back. But you don't have any of like the other big hitters. You don't have Spider-Man. You don't have Hulk. Like, you're missing some pretty big names here. Like, do you think that's gonna affect the box office?
Well, but this is what we've been talking about this whole time. We keep saying we want new characters. We want other characters to take the banner. We want these other people to get their spotlight, so this is the opportunity. So why not? This is what we've been saying. This is what we've been asking for. We're tired of seeing the same character over and over and over and over again. So let's make some new fucking stories with some new characters.
I mean, look, I agree with you. I 100% on the same page. But I also at the same time ask the question of, okay, but we haven't lived with any of those characters as long as we did for.
Well, no,
like,
but this is the transition. This is them opening. Not to mention, we haven't had any of the Eternals in here as well. And how are we going to merge that storyline? Which they tried to bring that storyline in with Captain America. So there's going to be a hell of a lot more down the line. Whether or not they tell us ahead of time or they surprise us in the film itself, this is not the end of this cast, that's for sure.
Yeah. Caleb is saying, MCU fans, I don't want too many characters. Also, MCU fans, where's this and that character? And then Enterprising is like, what Eternals? There were Eternals? I don't know. Like, clearly the MCU forgot there were Eternals. But yeah, again, I just will go back to the point of, you want to make a marketable movie. I feel like, Liz, I agree with you. This movie is leaning really heavy at this point on the popularity of RDJ, because most of the OG Avengers are not here.
It's too much, and I don't think it's fair to everybody else. Well, and again, that's why we haven't had time with anybody else, because they're putting all their eggs in RDJ's basket. It's like, okay, but you clearly have more people that you could be using in your marketing, and they're just, for some reason, they're laying it all on his shoulders, and I think it's a little too much.
I mean, John, just
they
quickly,
gotta sell their 80 million somehow. Like, we got them back for fucking that much. We gotta use them, right?
Well, again, and that's why we can't have Halle Berry.
But I mean, John, let me ask you this real quick. We heard the Russos talk about recently that these two movies are not the conclusion to something. They're more of a beginning to a new era of the MCU.
Yeah.
Do you think this casting announcement now kind of lines up with what they're trying to say? Because really, a lot of these characters, like we talked about, yes, you have the Winter Soldier, you have Anthony Mackie in there playing, Falcon. Well, it used to be Falcon, now Captain America. So you have a few of those old timers like Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. But there's a lot of
and new
characters
Falcons in it. Yeah.
Yeah, the new Falcon. But there's a lot of characters in here that we barely have gotten to know. So I'm like, do you feel like that lends more credence to that theory that this is, or not theory, but like what the Russos said, that this is the start of something rather than more of a conclusion to something?
I think that's kind of interesting, because you have the sort of 3 generations of superheroes. You have the original X-Men from Fox, which are the trifecta of, like, without these heroes, there wouldn't be an MCU of X-Men, Fox's X-Men, Sony's Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and Blade. Without those 3, there would be no MCU. Like, the sharing of those 3, that's like OG Marvel. That's caused all of this. So you have that. Then you have the Golden Age MCU with, you have stuff like, Thor and Loki, and, depending on who you ask, like, you have M'Baku, you have Ant-Man, and then you have the newest generation. You have Anthony Mack. Well, he's not really newest, but like in terms of his role now as the new Captain America rather than Falcon. But you have the new Captain America, new Falcon. You have the Thunderbolts. Yeah. You have the new Fantastic Four. So you have 3 big generations. It's mainly the oldest and the newest, not of the middling.
Right.
But it's kind of like that. It's interesting how it like brings all those 3, which I feel like I would be more excited for if like Marvel just didn't completely destroy my joy with just how many terrible movies they've like shilled out over the years, that it's just like, I just don't think it's it anymore. But I feel like that's kind of an intriguing idea because I feel like, and then you're gonna get new iterations of like all these characters. You're gonna have that transition of like the Fox X-Men to the new X-Men that we're gonna get. Whoever that is, we'll see if that's gonna be introduced in Secret Wars. And then you have, all these the middling people that are like kind of gonna move on to like, I don't know if Thor is like, I don't know if he's gonna die. I mean, they had the opportunity to move it on to Jane Foster, but they fucked that up because it makes
it's also Natalie Portman isn't exactly itching, I bet, to like do 5
No, I
movies,
know, but
right?
even then, but it's like there is the idea of like moving it on to somebody else, and it's like they kind of botched that a little bit. I mean, they could try to do it again with somebody else, but I mean, they kind of screwed it up because they didn't have the original comic book explanation of like a guy who holds Mjolnir and his alter ego is Thor rather than just Thor walking around. But I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting idea. It's just like, I don't know how they're going to fucking make it work. There is the idea of Battle World, which is most likely the case, but I don't think
Battle World. I'm like, this is gonna be a very underwhelming battle world where we got no.
But
Hulk,
here's the thing, I think that's gonna be
again. This is the first
crumb
crumb they're giving us, Dan. You need to come, please. There's no way this is it.
I'm just
There's
saying
no
the last two Avengers movies. Give me this. Okay, just for a quick exercise. The last two Avengers movies. I mean, I actually just watched Avengers: Age of Ultron. Underrated. I actually enjoy that movie more every time I see it. But just talk about Infinity War and Endgame. What are your top 5 names from those movies that you would remember? Like, just name them off the top of your head. Like the 5 biggest names from those movies that you guys remember.
Go ahead, John.
You want to go, or you want me to go?
Go ahead, John. Go. You can start, John.
I mean, like you had like Thor and Iron Man and Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow.
Okay, so that's 5. So would that be your top 5? Okay, Hulk. All right, that's maybe. All right, there you go. I mean, Liz, who would you name as your top?
I mean,
5?
yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much all the same. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I would.
Yeah,
like for me, I would say, given the story and like how much of a presence the characters had in those movies and who got the big, well, it was an ensemble, but like in terms of who was advertised as like the biggest presence, you had Iron Man, you had Thor, you had Captain America, you had Black Panther, you had Spider-Man, and then from there you can talk about some of the other characters beyond that. But those were the OGs. Those not just the OGs, but those were like the big names. And I'm like, pretty much everybody from that list that we just talked about is not here. So what you really, Marvel is betting big that this Fantastic Four movie is going to do great.
Buy it. I don't buy that they're
great.
not a part of it. I don't buy that Chris Evans is not coming back. I don't buy that Benedict isn't coming back. I don't buy that Elizabeth Olsen's not coming back. Everybody keeps talking about the other generation of the X-Men cast. I guarantee you Michael Fassbender is going to be in it. I guarantee you, I'm drawing a blank on his freaking name. Oh my God, who played Professor X, you guys?
James McAvoy.
Thank you. I'm like, there's no reason why they wouldn't. We've had them in alternate timelines before. Like you again, this is what happens. This is my problem with this show and with any type of news like this. Like, get a life, gang. Like, this is literally it hasn't even been 24 fucking hours and we're already disappointed with something that's not coming out for another year. Like, people, they're not gonna give us the whole fucking movie in the initial announcement. Okay, there is more to come, and the more we speculate it to death, the more we ruin it for ourselves. Just be happy that they're giving us any information at all, and wait for the trailer. And I love you, but shut the fuck up. Like, you analyze it to death and you ruin it for everybody. So that's
what the show is.
It's just bananas.
That's kind of part of the game, but also
I know that's why I'm saying it's really hard for me, because it's like, holy fuck, like how many times can you talk about the same thing? Like, it hasn't even been 24 hours and already we're like, fuck this movie. Like, what?
Well, I've been fuck Marvel for years.
Okay, look.
Yes, I know, John. Yes.
Look, Liz, I'm excited. I was listening to Avengers music for 2 hours before the show started. I watched Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Well, you're talking yourself out of that excitement,
I'm not talking myself out of it. I think I'm asking legitimate questions. Because really,
that's their point. That's the whole point of them doing this. That's the point. They want you to have questions so that when your ass is in the theater, your mind is fucking blown for 2.5 hours, and then you're like, shit, that was worth the $15 and the $50 popcorn bucket that I spent. Like this is what they do. This is what they do.
Well, here's the thing though, Liz, that's not quite what they've been doing for some time now. And it's like Deadpool and Wolverine was like mostly nostalgia bait, I felt like.
So maybe they're trying to go back to that. Maybe that's what they're doing. They realize they fucked up in the past couple of years. Maybe they're finally listening to John and they said, hey, maybe we should go back to what actually made people happy and what made people like our production. So that's probably what's going on here. But everybody's so cynical and so skeptical and just poo-pooing everything. Let Marvel cook, babe. Let them cook. There's a reason
We've been letting them cook for 5 years and they haven't given us anything to cook over.
But we're still going to see Batman Part 2 when it comes out in 20 years. So shut up. Like, genuinely.
I don't have much hope for that. But I think from a power level standpoint, there's not a ton of characters here that can truly take down Dr. Doom, or at least it's, you know how you like in wrestling, you don't want to
come together.
Like and you go out on the mat as a veteran. It's like I'm like, okay, in this movie, if it comes down to like Dr. Doom needs to be defeated, you're not gonna have Sir Ian McKellen's Magneto or Sir Patrick Stewart's Professor X be the one to do it. So then you either Simu, I'm just terrible with names today.
Yeah,
either Shang-Chi.
Right?
Either Shang-Chi is gonna all of a sudden become a next
Why
level.
Why can you say
character.
Shang-Chi, but you can't say Simu Liu? I appreciate you, Dan.
It's a lot easier. Shang-Chi, Simu, whatever. I got it. Okay. If I say it 20 times, I'll get it right. But yeah, it's in terms of power levels, I feel like most of the other most powerful characters in this movie outside of Dr. Doom are the Fox X-Men characters, because most of the MCU characters coming in here aren't as other than Thor. Well, Thor is pretty powerful, but anyway, I digress. Look, I just think like this movie doesn't have as much star power as I thought it would. At the same time, I'm curious to see. I am very curious to see where they go with the story, and I will obviously be watching it. I'm not trying to talk myself out of it.
Like,
I think
half of these people were nominated for Oscars, but okay.
So,
it has a lot of star power.
Okay,
like,
honestly, but here's the thing: Oscars, well, star power in the sense that you're talking about MCU
star power.
MCU. I'm not talking about.
But again, you can't have it both ways. We've been asking for more characters. We've been asking them to switch it up with the cast. We've been asking for them to bring in a younger generation. So you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. And like you said yourself, like Sir Pat Stu, Sir Ian McKellen, like how much older can they get? And they're still doing a part. Well, which one is it? Which one do you want? You can't have both. So they're trying their best to appease everybody and to ease us into the next generation, the next iteration of Marvel. And I'm going to let them do it. I'm going to enjoy it the entire fucking time. And it is what it is. So, and again, it's day one, gang. Day one. Okay? Like, shit.
I mean, I will agree with Antonio where he's like, the Russo brothers haven't been on a streak. The only streak coming from the Russo brothers is a giant poop streak across their underwear, because that's the only thing that the Russo brothers have been giving us post Endgame.
They just wasted like $300 million at Netflix. So I'm like, okay,
$350 million.
Oh my god! But you know what they do usually hit with Kevin Feige when they work together on these Avengers movies? They've made two of the most highly, well, not rated, but they're the two most highest grossing Avengers movies of all time. So. And then the Captain America movies that they made, the one of them made $1 billion. The other one came pretty close. So yeah, I trust the Russos in an MCU setting. I'm still excited for the movie. I'm just a little bit concerned that they're leaning on two cohorts, which is a lot of the recent movies where we haven't spent a ton of time with those characters, and then, or they're much lesser known characters, or they're leaning back on the Fox X-Men characters. So I just thought we would get, like Brie Larson. Why is she not there? Why is Doctor Strange? And look, Liz, I know that you're saying that they haven't announced everybody, but I'm like, we can only take this at face value. Like, let's just say like this is all they gave us. So I'm like, we can only say that that's all they got. Like, and if that's all they got, I'm like, they're missing a lot of heavy hitters. So anyway, we'll get back to this later. I've clearly run this topic into the ground, or maybe I haven't. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think.
I don't know. I just know that Caleb fucking hates me and Dan now. So like, whatever.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how I ended up being the more negative of between myself and John on this topic. I don't know how that happened, but
I don't know.
Anyway, Let's talk about Daredevil Born Again, shall we? Let's switch things up. Episodes 5 and 6 came out. Liz, you've been watching it, and clearly, if you go off just the mid-season trailer they put out, a lot of shit went down. And has the vigilante finally put his mask and costume back on? Is the suit back in action? I mean, tell us what you thought about the show, and now you're basically halfway through the season. So what are your thoughts on where things are right now?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about it yesterday. The number one complaint that every single person has that's watching it, and it's completely justified, and we've talked a little bit about this before when it first kicked off, was that every single episode almost seems like independent from one another. Like there's really no cohesion. It's in the direction, in the storyline, in the setup. So episode 5 was all shot in one building. It takes place, Matt Murdock goes in and meets Miss Marvel's father, who works at a bank. And as he's and thank you. And as he's leaving, he hears that the bank is being robbed, and he turns around and says, oh, I guess I should help these people out, and goes in and does his thing. And it was all the entire episode was shot in the bank. It was a whole bank scene. No other outside anything. We really don't see much. I don't think we see anything. We don't see anything of Fisk, of Kingpin. It's literally all this bank scene. Then episode 6, we've got the Fisk storyline picks up again. He's having issues with his wife. He's having issues with the city. They're dealing with this evil, I guess you would call him a vigilante as well. This bad guy who is spray painting murals around the city with the blood of his victims. They're trying to capture him. Meanwhile, White Tiger's niece, as I mentioned, is also trying to go after him because she discovered that her uncle kind of figured out the pattern to where he was kidnapping his victims. And she goes to Matt. She says, hey, this is what's going on. You've got to help me out here. And he kind of is like, you got to let the authorities do their job. Because again, he's still torn. Do I get involved? Do I put the mask back on? Do I do my job and go through legal channels? Then she suddenly goes missing, and he goes, well, I know exactly where she's at. I guess I got to put the mask back on and go save this gal, because she's another innocent victim, and I can't see any more people that I care about get hurt. So there's an epic I wouldn't say 2-part, but there's an epic battle scene. We find out that Fisk has been imprisoning his wife's lover for a number of months. Yeah, so he's still doing his Kingpin shit, y'all. He's just not being flashy about it anymore. So Fisk and his wife are going to counseling. They happen to be being counseled by Matt Murdock's girlfriend, which still neither one know about just yet. Yeah, so there's all kinds of convoluted storylines happening here. But Fisk comes to the realization that he has to be done with this guy. He has to, either make a move, get rid of him, or let him go, and suffer the consequences. So as Matt Murdock is in the New York subway, some back rooms in the subway, fighting this vigilante trying to save White Tiger's niece, Fisk is beating the ever-loving shit out of his wife's ex-lover. So we keep going back and forth between these two, and again, it's this dichotomy of these guys kind of battling with their own inner turmoil, their own feelings about where their lives are and the choices that they've made. So I liked the ending a lot. I liked this episode a lot, but again, 2 completely separate episodes, plot lines, storylines delivered at the same time. So it's interesting to me. Like, I feel like if they had put out episode 5 on its own, the bank robbery episode, people would automatically be like, fuck the show, because they'd be bored out of their minds. So I get why they release them at the same time, but like I said, everybody's complaint, and we've talked about it again, where the first episode was actually supposed to be the 3rd episode originally. It's very disconnected, but again, he's as I predicted, he's getting stronger and stronger into his Catholicism, his beliefs. He is starting to quote directly, passages directly from the scripture, even like while he's mid-fight, which happened in episode 6. So he's gonna just become even more holier than thou and righteous in his beliefs and what he's doing in his campaign. So that's gonna be interesting for him as well when things kind of don't go his way. But like I said, so we still haven't seen As someone mentioned in the other chat, we still haven't seen that disturbed individual who went up to Matt's girlfriend at her book signing and said, "Hey, I really need help." We haven't seen anything. We haven't returned back to that storyline yet, so we'll see what happens there. Who knows? It could be the spray paint vigilante that Matt just beat the shit out of. But there's a couple of things that are just, again, they don't all line up. Like I said, I like them. Just like on an individual basis, I do like each episode, but they really are so just discombobulated that it's I can understand why people are struggling with it. But again, he's put the suit on. We have seen a John Bernthal appearance, so we're expecting Punisher to come back. I don't think Miss Marvel will make an appearance, but the fact that and they've also mentioned Tom Holland as well, or Spider-Man, I should say. So we'll see where this goes.
Not by his name, right? It's like it's some guy. He didn't call him Spider-Man. It was like a reference to like the guy who swings around.
Yeah, web slinging vigilante, something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, Vincent and Charlie are making the rounds. They're still marketing the shit out of this thing. Charlie just announced that he's going to be at Comic-Con this year. Vincent started going to Comic-Cons a couple years ago. So, fingers crossed, gang, I get to meet Charlie this year. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out, because I feel like a lot has happened in a short amount of time. But again, it's all so convoluted that it's turning a lot of people off, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the show feels like it just keeps getting better and better. Nobody that I've talked to has said that this is getting worse. Like, they feel like this is becoming more of a worthy investment. Ron loves it. I think TC24, you guys in the chat, you guys have been watching
Again, I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy it.
So it seems like, given how you described episodes 5 and 6, maybe the reason why we got them together is now more becoming clear, because they didn't want this show to overlap with when Andor starts airing in a few weeks' time. So then they can wrap this up and then people can move on and focus on the Star Wars show. Or do you feel like these two episodes really needed to air together? Like, would you have survived if you had gotten these like a week apart?
Again, I think it makes sense, although because like I said, episode 5 was so completely different from everything else that we've gotten. Like, yes, it does have a little bit of action, there's a little bit of a fight scene there, but it was definitely the slowest paced of all the episodes, and like I said, there was nothing else going on outside of that bank robbery. We don't see any other storylines, any other side characters, so it's like I said, I can see why they released them together. But I don't know, like I said, I feel like they're making some interesting choices that aren't necessarily sitting well with everybody. And again, the show itself is still enjoyable, but I can understand why people are kind of frustrated with the pacing overall.
Yeah. I think this show so far, while look, most people I think had the impression that Daredevil was watched by a lot more people on Netflix than it actually was. So when you look at the numbers, the ratings, we don't have specifics right now. When we do get them, we'll bring them to you guys. But I just remember talking about the premiere of this series, and it came in lower than even Agatha All Along and the Acolyte show. The Acolyte got canceled. So obviously they're committed to this show because they're already starting to film the second season. Now, having said that, ultimately I think it's going to come down to not just the viewership behind the show, because this show is probably cheaper than the Acolyte was to make, and probably even Agatha All Along.
I'm sure it was, yeah.
So, you know, they don't feel like they need this show to do as well, but also there's a huge cult following behind the character. So I think they're committed to this long term, and the viewership can kind of catch on, especially because for a lot of people, they were like watching 3 seasons of Daredevil and then coming into this one like, okay, so, you know, you can kind of naturally dive in, but there's still some things that you can't quite reconcile because this 5 years have passed, and now that he's in the MCU, so certain things don't quite add up. But then for some people who are watching Daredevil for the first time, they're like, do I need to watch the other show, like 3 seasons worth, before I get into this? And hopefully more of those people will catch on as the show keeps airing. So
yeah,
episodes 5 and 6, now there's, I believe, 3 episodes to go, 7, 8, and 9. So
yeah, I believe so. Yep.
I mean, Liz, what are your expectations now? What do you want to see happen between now and the end of the season?
Again, I want to see him team up with John Bernthal. I should mention that Mayor Fisk has now started a vigilante task force with some I don't want to say crooked cops, but cops with not the greatest record. Purposely, he's going for those guys because he's like, I get that you care about the city, but you also don't necessarily care about the law. So he's kind of created his own vigilante task force. So I'm expecting John Bernthal to get into the mix fairly soon, because again, a lot of these cops are using the Punisher logo as like their inspiration for the bullshit that they're doing, and Johnny's not going to like that. So I expect Frank Castle to make some more appearances for sure. So that's the only thing I can predict at this time.
Yeah, well, hey, we got 3 more weeks of Daredevil, and then we know season 2 is already in production. Apparently, Karen survives because she's out there, Deborah Ann Wall's filming scenes.
Yeah, so, Karen's fine. Nothing happened.
Yeah, and rumors are we might be getting members of the Defenders coming back for the next season. So, hey,
I hope so.
Daredevil and at least the Defenders part of the cinematic universe at Marvel is eating good, and Liz, you seem to be enjoying it. So let us know. Yeah, I mean, let us know in the comments, guys. What do you think about Daredevil Born Again so far? And drop your thoughts down below in the comments. Hit the like button while you're at it, and hit the notification bell if you have subscribed. If you haven't, then hit subscribe, because we will be talking about Daredevil every week as we go along with episode 7, 8, and 9. And then of course when the next season is out, we'll be talking about it as well. Now it's time to turn off the music. Let's get into the main event of the show. As always, we have to talk about DC. So I know some of you guys are here to talk about DC, probably a lot of you guys, so let's talk about it. So welcome on in to another episode of DCU Daily. We have so much to discuss, as always. A little light on the newsy parts, but we do have a bunch of other stuff to get into as well, and we have a bit of Q&A with you guys as well. So we'll get into that. Oh, come on, John. Thank you for that. But let me bring you in.
Oh, Fiona still likes us. Nobody else in the chat does, but Fiona.
Yeah, everybody hits us now because apparently we're
complaining too much. Because even though
I was asking legitimate questions, I feel like it's honestly
whatever.
Like, anyway,
it's just like Thor: Love and Thunder was so bad it turned me off to Marvel completely. But I still like Marvel. I'm probably gonna watch Daredevil Born Again once the show finishes, because I've heard better things as pretty much each and every episode has gotten better and better. I love that character, even though Disney was never gonna give us Netflix levels. They never were. I'll still fine. I'll give it a watch. I like Miss Marvel as a character. I like Aman Vellani's characterization. I like Moon Knight as a character, even though I think they went too PG-13 with that. But yeah, what the fuck do I know? Even though literally my love of superheroes started because of Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. But no, I fucking hate Marvel.
Dude, it's okay. It's all right. Like people have different opinions, and art hits us all in different ways. So it's all subjective. Now, getting on to DC, John, we have a few stories, and then you picked out a bunch of comments. What are you most excited to talk about today on DC Daily?
There's no Superman news, but it's it's just I'm excited, even though it's like pennies.
I mean, technically there's Superman news.
I mean, technically yes. Like, even though there's pennies, it's like, the Lantern stuff is kind of interesting a little bit. Like, it gives us an idea of what the setting is.
Yeah.
Very Reacher season 1-esque, but
I agree with you. It reminded me a little bit of Peacemaker too when they were shooting that in Atlanta. But all right, let's get things started with the first story. This is coming to us from the Direct, I believe, the Direct.com. And Warner Brothers, it looks like they have shelved a highly anticipated DC superhero sequel. Now, this is a bit of an exaggeration, because I don't ever remember them actually greenlighting this. But as of I guess when they wrote this article, because again, I came across this, I was like, what the heck? Tom Welling, I think, had been talking about maybe getting a sequel to his Smallville show in animated form, and then potentially bringing on as many of the original cast members as possible. But it looks like the series creator, Al Gough, has confirmed that there are no sequels or reboots to the series currently in progress, despite former confirmation otherwise. So even though, Tom Welling talking about it wasn't exactly confirmation. So this is a little bit of an exaggeration, John. So what are your thoughts on this? Yeah. I mean, would you have even wanted to go see? I mean, not go, maybe it probably would be on streaming. I mean, would you watch an animated sequel to Smallville?
I have never seen a single episode of the original show. I don't plan to watch it. Like, I mean, even though I've heard like it's a good show, it's still a WB/CW show. And even though Michael Rosenbaum is apparently the best Lex Luthor we've ever gotten, I just don't have a ton of interest in like a 10-season Superman origin story where he never puts on this. Like, it's just like, that's just not something I'm interested in.
Right.
Like, I prefer veteran Superman, like what Superman and Lois did, than origin Superman. But yeah, this was never really confirmed. Michael Rosenbaum talked about it on his podcast. Tom Welling kind of talked about it a little bit, but you know, they at the most they've been trying to, but it's like obviously the fucking headline is clickbait. Oh, highly anticipated sequel. A fucking animated show that was never confirmed by WB, by Al Goff, by anybody of note in the company, and highly anticipated by all 4 Smallville fans.
Yeah, it's a bit of an exaggeration. It's also like you said,
and
John,
plus you have the season 11 comic book series. Like, if you really want
Smallville,
that, then fucking go to that. And like, on top of the fact we have that we have his appearance in Crisis on Infinite Earths, which pissed a lot of people off, but it was still there. And it's like, what was the animated show was it just going to be an adaptation of season 11? Because that would have been kind of stupid. Because it's just like, you could just read it, like it's online for free, so just fucking go and read it. You don't need an animated adaptation of that was going to take place after. I don't know. I just feel like it's not necessary, and I feel like there's not a big call to arms for a Smallville sequel. So it's like, would it have been a neat idea? Sure. Yeah. But like a full-fledged, like at most, like maybe like a motion comic or like a podcast where it's like, remember what was the thing that Winston Duke did, like where it was like an audio drama?
Oh,
like you could do something like that.
Related. It was something bad. I forgot the name of
it. I forgot what it was called,
right.
But he did like a season of that, right. And then what was it? Was it Winston
I totally
Duke?
Forgot.
I forget who
was it.
It was Jeffrey Wright. I think it might have been Jeffrey Wright. I don't remember, but it was somebody as Batman. They were in like audio dramas. They could like do something like that, where it was like, that was relatively like, because you don't have to hire people to animate. You just need like a sound effects library, a narrator, and then the cast. The only one you can't bring back is Allison Mack because she's a bitch and she's a fucking horrible human being. But so get like, that's, I would say like, if you really want to do that, like have it be like a season 12, which would have people need to read the comic books, but like whatever, because like the whole thing is like Bart Allen is dead now and all that shit. So you could like maybe do like a season 12 audio series. That's like the most I think you could do. Have the people, maybe a couple like 100, maybe a couple thousand people like watch or listen to that, and that's the most. I can't see this getting like a full-fledged animated show or movie or anything like that. I think that's just way too much, and it's not clamoring for anything.
Yeah, because look, at the end of the day, the show last aired 14 years ago.
Right.
So even though it has a lot of cultural presence and a lot of fans out there, it's not enough to support an animated sequel. Like, if anything, like they would need to have a groundswell of support, asking somebody like Tom Welling to come back. An animated sequel this late in the game doesn't make sense. I think highly anticipated. It's not the way to describe it, but nonetheless, it looks like whatever rumors were circulating, and yeah, I know Tom Welling wanted to do this, but
even though he was like swore off Smallville for fucking years, I'm never gonna put on the suit. I don't want to put on the suit, Smallville, and like he would avoid con appearances, and now he has fucking literally nothing else. Well, I guess maybe I'll return her. So
yeah. Well, it looks like he's not gonna be, because there's nothing in the
not
works.
getting it.
So there you go. All right. Well, the next story, actually, I mean, John, you said we don't have Superman news. Well, we got not one, but we got 2 Superman pieces of news.
I thought we did. My bad. I apologize.
It's okay though, because I wouldn't necessarily call this news, but what
Yeah.
I did see online recently was this new promotional art for the Superman movie. I don't think this is official, so this is at least partly fan art, and it looks to be, you know, the work of Jorge Jimenez, who's of course working on some potentially legitimate, like, official stuff for the film. And I came across this. It has the logo that our Superman's gonna have. It's got the suit with the collar and stuff. I guess it kind of looks like David Cornsweet in the artwork. But
looks. Sorry to cut you off. It just kind of looks like more to me. Like I get like
My Adventures.
It looks more like New 52 meets Injustice Superman with like the cape and then the collar. Yeah. It kind of looks like it, but it doesn't really totally. I mean, obviously with the Kingdom Come logo, it does, but like. The rest of it is like, I don't know.
I don't know how real this is or if this is a leak, but it looks good to me. If this was something that you could buy on a towel or like a poster, I would get it. I mean, John, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, fucking Caleb Underwood in the chat. Why is Superman Asian? Yeah, he does kind of vaguely look a little.
He's got
Asian.
a bit of that anime design, like anime.
Yeah, maybe a little because it's anime, but like I don't know. I think it looks kind of cool. I don't know if I would like buy it on anything, and that's coming from a guy who bought fucking 4 Superman shirts. So I don't know. It just looks kind of cool, like kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but you know, it was mainly an MCU day today, guys.
It was well, but it's still, I've been saving this one for a couple of days, and I think it's worth looking at because again, keep talking about this Superman, how he looks like, you know, with the silhouettes from different poses, behind the scenes photos in the trailer. How does he look when he's drawn in an animated form? So it's just nice to see how people are perceiving this new Superman already. You can see what are becoming quickly iconic traits of the character, like the suit has a collar. The S logo obviously looks different than what we've been used to for the longest time. Even the color of the suit, it's the brighter blue that we haven't seen in a long time because we got used to the Man of Steel darker blue. So, and overall, the message, it feels like it's more in line with the new James Gunn movie, the much brighter, much more hopeful. It's about action. It's about what you do. It starts with each of us. It's like, you know, the messaging is there. So I'm all for it. If this is actually something real that we can get our hands on, then I'll probably see if I can find it somewhere and buy it for myself. But the next story, John, is speaking of Superman. There you go. There's another Superman thing. Although this is not Superman centric, but obviously the headline includes him there. And this is more of an opinion piece in Movie Web, so maybe we could just talk about it in the context of what do we think about the question they're asking here. And the question they're asking, of course, as you can see on the screen here, was James Gunn's initial DCU slate a lie? And in the article, they kind of go into it a little bit deeper and talk about how we have had like half a dozen, it feels like, different projects announced since the original slate that were never part of the original slate. Meanwhile, several significant projects from the original slate are either on the shelf or seemingly farther behind in development than some of the ones that we didn't originally get as part of that announcement. For example, you've got like the Paradise Lost series that's just sitting there. They're like, we can't really figure it out. They said that themselves recently in that press event. We have no idea how soon the Waller scripts or the Batman Brave and the Bold scripts are going to be done. Although there are works in progress, it seems like maybe, you know, the Teen Titans script might be done sooner than that. Sergeant Rock seems to have come out of nowhere. The Clayface movie came out of nowhere because they had a script that was ready. So I think the article is really asking the question, just how much of a plan does James Gunn have that he actually is committed to following, and how much is he open to improvisation and new things coming along the way? So I'll start with you, John. We've talked about this at length before. Where do you land on this matter so far?
I don't know if it's a lie, but he did say that like none of these were greenlit. It was just these were announcements of like projects he wanted to do. I think he's so gung ho on the idea of like the scripts being finished are key. Because look at the fucking one that's struggling is Batman Part 2. And so he's like, I want to, you know, make sure that we have a great script that we can go off of and go. So it's not like, oh, we're announcing Blade and then that gets delayed for fucking 10 years and looks like that's never going to happen, which is a shame because it's like Guy hunts vampires. What is so difficult about that? But, you know, it's
You'd be
So
surprised.
I get that, but that also causes.
He's also not an Avengers Endgame. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Avengers Doomsday, I think you mean.
Whatever. Doomsday. It's late.
It's fine.
It's fine.
But but I've said that there are cons to that, where it's like if you're so gung ho on like the idea of having a script, well, now that you have like a bunch of stuff that's like going to be like the Authority is going to be on the back burner because like The Boys is so prominent and it has similar ideas, even though you could make it work way better than the fucking Boys, because that's like very surface level with how it does its satire. But you could like make that work and make it be very different, or not have satire at all, like just have it be like maybe just like a kind of like a simple like anti-hero story. You don't have to have it be like this deconstruction of the superhero genre, because I feel like, you know, it doesn't have to be that. Yeah. And then, you know, there's also the idea of like, now we're not getting these projects, and that's kind of a shame, because now
it's the expectation versus reality.
Then I mean, fucking Caleb just said it's gonna add fuel to the fucking Snyder bro fire of like, look, James Gunn doesn't know what the fuck he's doing because we're not getting like the Authority is like indefinitely on hold and like all this other shit.
Yeah.
So you have all that, which is just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And it's tiring, but it's like at the same time, it's like there's so many pros and cons to like having a script ready, because now we're like losing out. It feels like we're losing out on all these projects, and people are like, so we're getting a Superman movie, fine, and we're getting a Supergirl movie, fine.
Yep.
Yet and then Batman, we have one that's like technically greenlit already, that's going to be coming out. That's an Elseworld story, okay, and then the two, I would say more. I wouldn't even say more original, but like the Authority's never been done, and then Swamp Thing has never been like a part of like a cinematic universe before. So you know, you have like these weird, or like Booster Gold in live action, Amanda Waller getting her own show. Like you have like all these more interesting ideas. Paradise Lost, like you have these more interesting ideas that are kind of thrown to the wayside. Meanwhile, Superman, we've seen that before. Supergirl, we've seen that before. Batman Part 2, it's a sequel to something we've gotten. So it's like, even though James Gunn, it feels like that he wants to aim for, you know, more original ideas and superheroes and anti-heroes and villains that we haven't seen before, or haven't like, and he's delivered like Creature Commandos, even though it was essentially Suicide Squad again. We got a bunch of characters that have never been seen before on screen, and that's like an interesting thing. And Clayface, we haven't gotten him in live action yet, so that's really cool. But it feels like that he's not like delivering, because we're getting characters that we've seen before, that have gotten movies before, that have been in the cultural zeitgeist for decades. Yeah. So, you know, it's like, well, what are you doing, James? Are we getting these more like obscure characters, or are we just going to get the same thing over and over again? And you're going to further this supposed superhero fatigue that everyone is sick of.
Yeah, it's a good point. But what I was going to just also mention is the article makes the point of the DCEU had this strategy where they sort of just threw shit at the wall and tried to see what stuck. And by having a balance of stuff that you announced that you follow through on, and then some news things coming out, you don't give that impression. But I think in the last few months, it feels like the balance has flipped a little bit, because they keep talking about, like you mentioned, some of those projects that they announced in the initial slate, they're not as far along as you would expect. Meanwhile, there's more and more of those projects that came out of nowhere seemingly, and are now moving forward with, like, you know, Clayface filming this summer potentially. Sergeant Rock might start filming this year. Deathstroke and Bane, you know, they keep denying it, but it seems like something is going on with that. Teen Titans, already Ana Aguera is working on a script for that because she had a great idea for it. So, I mean, Liz, what are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like James Gunn at this point is still following his gut instinct and saying, look, we're going to greenlight whatever has, you know, a finished script, and whether that's something that they announced before or not? And then also, do you feel like this is just a PR thing, where it's just a perception versus reality problem, where they're really doing things the right way? It's just we're used to like the Marvel way of doing things where they announce the
Yeah.
timeline and then we
Yeah.
expect it, whereas clearly James Gunn is the anti of that. Like, what are
Well,
your
I
thoughts on this whole
also think
situation?
I also think James's enthusiasm has been his hindrance, has been the problem, because he kind of tends to talk out of turn before things are finalized and set in stone and contracts are signed and scripts are written. He's a fan, so I appreciate that he wants all of these things to happen, that he's green lighting all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, until you have all of the basics in place, until you've got everything set in stone, you really shouldn't be talking about them. And we've said that time and time again on this show as well, that like babe, it's great that you're a fan, it's great that you want this to happen, but you've got to stop talking about it, because this is where you're going to end up, is people are going to get pissed off and they're going to feel like they've been lied to. They're going to feel like, it's you're inflating everything, when in reality none of this stuff is coming to fruition. I don't think that any of it is a lie. I think he's just a fan, and this is what he hopes will happen. But bureaucracy, red tape, money, studio bullshit, people's egos, they all get in the way. And unfortunately, he can't write, direct, edit, produce, and fund all of these projects on his own. So when you incorporate a lot of other people with a lot of other opinions, and again, a lot of other egos and other timelines, it makes things harder to happen. So I think he's doing his very best, but again, the fact that he keeps talking about this stuff has led to this exact problem.
I think it's also, I'll just bring up two more points and let you guys decide also in the chat what you guys think about it, because there's two other things that are potentially happening here. One of them is, it's kind of like me saying, okay, I make the best ice cream in the world, and then I immediately serve you something that's rotten. You lose that sense of trust, because I think James Gunn has always kind of preached the idea of the best scripts get greenlit. We don't announce or greenlight or give anything a release date until it's got the finished script. And for somebody who's preaching that so much, there's a bunch of stuff that he announced that feels like right now it's in development limbo, whereas a bunch of other stuff has come in since. So I think people are looking at it and kind of calling out like what seems like hypocrisy, at least on the surface. I don't think that's the intention, but it comes across that way sometimes. The other problem is when you look at some of the projects that are being greenlit right now, Sergeant Rock and Clayface are going to be two very like mid to small, like superhero movie standards, low budget movies, because they're going to be probably $40-60 million movies. They're not going to be like $150 million a piece. Whereas though some of the projects that are sitting on the sidelines right now seemingly are the more ambitious things that people praised James Gunn for when they announced the Gods and Monsters slate, like The Authority, something that is so ambitious, that's so unorthodox. They were like, this is, like John was saying earlier, this is what's going to help to provide the innovation for the new franchise and the superhero genre as a whole. You're not playing it safe. You're giving us Booster Gold, and you're giving us Swamp Thing, and then right now it looks like those are all being put to the side. We're gonna get another Bane and Deathstroke thing, and we've got plenty of Deathstroke, in the Arrowverse. So a lot of people are aware of that from the Arkham games. Bane, of course, from the Dark Knight trilogy. We have had Bane in the Harley Quinn show. Sergeant Rock and, like I said, Clayface are smaller characters. Teen Titans feels like more of a safer bet than The Authority and even Paradise Lost. So I think it's that as well. The idea that you're they're saying this is our way of showing we can do things on the cheap. Like, not every DC studio movie needs to be $150 million, and that's a positive. You can spin it as a positive, but you can also look at it, and when you compare it to some of the more ambitious things you had initially announced, is this kind of them scaling back their ambition, and they're just telling us that the scripts aren't done yet. So I mean, look, this is an open-ended conversation. We can talk about this forever, but I'll leave it there for now. Just a few questions for you guys to ponder, and let us know in the comments down below what you think about those. And I'm sure this will come up again. And if you if you type us out some comments, then John will bring those in and we'll answer them. And then we can have another conversation in the same subject matter. But for the time being, John, we have one more story before we get to the Q&A session. And that is, of course, our main story today, which is that the Green Lantern show, Lanterns, is filming, and it looks like somebody went and snapped a few photos of some of the locations where they're filming. Now, this doesn't include any look at the actors in the show, like what we got from a little while ago, like the two leads walking down a empty highway. But it does give you, I suppose, a little bit of an idea of some of these indoor locations. To me, this reminds me of like some of the locations from season 1 of Peacemaker, like when they go to the diner, and even some of the behind the scenes photos we got from Peacemaker season 2. But I mean, Liz, I'll start with you. What does this tell you much about the show, about lanterns?
No.
Other than,
It could be any show. It could be anything. It could have. It could be a picture of the guy's neighborhood. No, it tells me nothing. It gets me excited for no reason. Like I'm not excited about it. Like it's like, okay, like that. This would be the kind of article that if it cropped up, I'd be like, cool, and I just keep scrolling because there's absolutely no information here.
I mean, the only descriptive thing in this, other than the John Deere logo, is the Sheridan County Sheriff's Office, which I forget if that's meant to be part of the show or if that's just a stand-in that they're going to replace that. I mean, John, what are your thoughts on this? Not much to go off of other than the fact that it looks like they're about getting ready to film there.
It does give us like the kind of vibe that we're getting with the setting, which is kind of nice. Like it's given me Margrave from season 1 of Reacher vibes. I kind of like that aspect. Like if they're going full grounded with it, then it's like, okay, that's cool. I still don't like that. I still want my Cosmic Green Lantern stuff because that's the character. But I think this is it's a crumb. It's a crumb. It's day 1, guys. So you know what? I think that's pretty okay. I think that's pretty okay.
It's just weird that we haven't seen much more than just the two guys walking on the highway, considering they probably are filming a lot of stuff outside. Either that or, they haven't finished building these sets. Like we know that the Leavesden set in London,
boom,
they were filming a few things here and there, but they're not doing a ton of stuff outside. So yeah, I mean, Supergirl is kind of in a similar situation where it looks like a lot of stuff is being done on sound stages. So until we get more things out in the open, I don't know if we're going to get a ton of photos, but I mean, hey, here's a sneak peek, and I figured we bring it to you since we always like to do that. We got Elite Easy E in the chat now, Super Blink here, Man of Steel Magnolias. You guys are a little late to the show. We had a ton of stuff that we talked about, so do be kind and rewind and then while you're at it, hit the like button. But we will continue the show. We have a little more to go. We have some comments to talk about from you guys, but before we do, I have a couple of comments in the live chat. Enterprising saying, rooting for Lanterns to be one of the best superhero shows to date. We are too. Elite Easy saying the Sheriff's Department building is a grounded version of OA. Yeah.
That's funny.
That would be hilarious. That would
be horrible, and I fucking hate it, but it is Tom King, so it does line up with that. But I don't know, it just gives us some good vibes. It's kind of cool. Like, even as someone who's like on the fence about this, it gives us some decent vibes. I just hope it's good. That's all.
Yeah. By the way, Man of Steel Magnolia, like he popped in a little bit late because he had to work today. That's all right. That's okay. I mean, we're still here, so you can chat with us while we're here. And then for the parts that you missed, you can always just go back and rewind the show and just roll it back after the fact. So thank you for stopping in, though. We always appreciate you being here, as well as Elite Easy. So John, speaking of that Q&A session I've been advertising, let's dive into that, shall we? You have a few comments pulled up. Why don't you bring those out for us, and let's answer some questions. Maybe Liz will have a few things to say about it. Maybe I will.
Oh, there's something directed at Liz, actually.
Oh, there is.
Better spell my name right. Better spell my name right. They didn't.
They didn't mention you by name. They were too angry, but so here it is. So JB mentioned on the Who's Your Daddy live stream when it was announced, and he brings up a good question, like, what's the vibe with Jon Stewart's character? He's like, JB1138, honestly, I think it's strange we're getting Jon Stewart's parents at all. Does he live with them? What's the deal? So I think that's kind of an interesting, like, state of, like, I feel like we're going to be getting kind of like an Arrowverse thing. Not the best comparison, I know, but Arrow had, like, a lot of flashbacks and stuff like that. So I would imagine, if I were to guess, I mentioned that we're probably getting Sinestro mentoring Hal in flashbacks, and so they're like, okay, John needs some flashbacks. Maybe they're gonna show off like something that happened with his dad. Maybe there's a connection there between like his dad and like the Guardians. Maybe he was like, maybe his dad was like the original choice for Green Lantern, and then it went to Hal Jordan. That could be an interesting little fucking twist. Or he was like the original backup and then it moved to John, like do something new with it, like have like a lineage kind of thing. That could be interesting. Or it's like maybe he had trouble with his dad and like maybe his dad wanted him to like go to school. Like maybe they're doing kind of the best of both worlds with John's backstory, with like maybe they'll, you know, his dad, he's like, I don't want you to fucking like go off the wayside, like go to school, do something with your life, blah, blah, blah. And like he goes off and becomes an architect. But then he's like, you know what? I can't deal with this. I'm gonna fucking maybe like stress. I don't know, just like something. He's like, I'm gonna be a soldier instead. So he joins the army after the fact.
Yeah.
And his dad is like kind of disappointed, like, why are you doing this? You're kind of throwing away your life to be in the military. And then of course he's maybe proven right, and then he gets PTSD or something, or like he gets like a fucking discharge or like a whatever, and then he comes back home. He's kind of like not a disappointment, but like there could be like something with his dad and his mom that like brings back some character stuff. Maybe he realizes his true passion is architecture, and that kind of goes back to like the whole thing with John Stewart's character when he was introduced, because there was like a lot of trials and tribulations to get John Stewart introduced. Like they didn't want to make him dark. Like DC was really against it at the time. They didn't want to make him dark skinned. They didn't want to make him like well read. They didn't want to make him, you know, they didn't want him to like one up Hal Jordan, all this other stuff. But like the creators at the time really pushed to have John Stewart be like the character he became, and it was a huge benefit because he became a mainstay and arguably more popular than Hal, mainly because of the Justice League animated show, choosing him over Hal Jordan as the mainstay. So like that's what we like got so many years later, and there could be some like intrigue with that in terms of his character put into the show, and like bring in some aspects that are not introduced, because like his parents aren't really well known in the comics. They don't have like they're pretty much not like a character. Like they're there, but they're like not really huge. They weren't really even mentioned like post-crisis, pre-New 52. So they could do like they have more free reign to like kind of do that, like with flashbacks. If we're getting flashbacks with Hal Jordan, like his mentor being Sinestro, and he's realizing, okay, now I got to mentor this kid. Well, I don't want to fucking be like my fucking mentor who was a fucking asshole who became a Yellow Lantern. I'm gonna fucking, or if he became one, I don't know if he is or not.
So
that's an interesting dynamic too.
Yeah, ultimately what it comes down to for me is they're just gonna explore his backstory a little bit more, because they probably are setting him up to be the main Green Lantern of this continuity moving forward. So you want to give him a proper origin story. So naturally you'll have like other characters that are in his life, like his parents, in the show. Wow, I'm about to choke on something. Liz, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't really have thoughts. You guys know I know nothing about these characters, so good job, John. Thanks for explaining it.
I need to find that Oscars music somewhere. But John, all right, what's the next comment?
Anyway, this one's easy. This is from Caleb. He's still watching, being a troll, being a little asshole. He's saying the one I think I did alone after the Batgirl stream. I was like, well, looks like Daddy WB didn't get you this time.
I still need to re-upload that episode. Oh my god, that was a good show.
We gotta blur some shit, but yeah,
we have to blur that stuff. Yeah, they came after that hard, man. It was intense. It was intense.
You might have to like full censor bar. I don't even think you can blur it. I think you got a full like.
No, I'm just gonna cover
censor bar.
I'm just gonna cover it with like a meme or something. Like it's just gonna it's gonna be just Jeff Goldblum dancing or something like that.
No, shirtless Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park.
Just that's perfect. People are gonna be so confused. Like, what the hell are we talking about? Anyway, all right, let's go to the next.
No, that was funny. That was funny.
That was a funny.
Kai Sweater. He was. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but he was here earlier. But we were talking about like the teaser in regards to something. I forget what it was. but it was something I think in regards to Marvel. But remember the Dark Knight's teaser, and there was the guy in the background when Bane is walking towards Batman. LOL, everyone did the same thing with regards to rumors. I forget what he was talking about. I forget. I think it might have, was it Supergirl related? I don't remember what it was, but like it's just going off the idea of like people will automatically start talking about anything and everything in regards to that fact. So he's just kind of like a history repeats itself kind of thing. So it's like, thanks, Kyle. But like, I agree. Like, people will make a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, that is half the reason for this show. But like, it's still like, you know, people tend to do that. Like, comic fans like fucking analyze every frame and all that shit. So yeah, that do be how it is. So Game City Savior had the next comment, and they had something to say when Lizz had a comment about Ben Affleck's portrayal of an autistic person in The Accountant 2. They were like, seems like she is the only person uncomfortable with autistic people. I hope she is not in the medical field or interacting with a customer of any sort.
No, and I made that point in the very beginning. Not
if she can accept other slightly different people, and she puts someone in the same category as little people. Shake fucking head.
I was making the comment about like how far is too far as the little people conversation is concerned. Like are we going to be critical about everything, or is it just because they're called a certain thing versus what they're supposed to be called, which is little people? Again, and I prefaced all of that by saying it's not going to come out the way that I want, because again, this is what happens. People twist words. They view it the way they want to view it. I absolutely have no problem with autistic people. I have no problem with people with special needs. I don't want to pull this card, but my best friend has been a teacher of special needs students for the past 35 years, and I contribute to their fundraisers and all of those types of things. I'm a big proponent for people with disabilities, with special needs. That's why all of this stuff going on in the political realm drives me crazy. I'm all about DEI. I mean, the fact that I have to sit here and flounder and give you these explanations to back up who I am and my character as a human being. My point was, if you watch The First Accountant, which I have multiple times, I'm a huge fan of that film. When you see this trailer, it's a little alarming because Ben Affleck almost seems to be playing a completely different character. That's how much he's playing up the autistic side of
it's a bit
his
of overacting.
character.
Yes,
thank you. It's a choice. It's definitely a choice because and granted, I understand because it's been so long between each production that I don't think he even maybe realized that he was doing that. But it was glaringly obvious for me, again, because I am actually around autistic people quite often. Again, and I just talked about Magazine Dreams yesterday, where Jonathan Majors plays an autistic character as well. We're seeing more and more of, and again, how do you word this properly? We're seeing more and more of stories of people like this coming to the forefront, which is great. On the spectrum, thank you, which is great. But again, we have to be careful about how we're portraying them, because we're not trying to make them caricatures of themselves, which again is why Peter Dinklage has an issue with little people playing dwarves. So I get it. So when you have a person who is not autistic playing an autistic person, they're going to make some choices that might not necessarily be the right ones or be very sympathetic to the character they're trying to portray. So again, when he's already played this character once and now years later is playing the exact same character in a very different way, that's going to raise some red flags to me. Not that I'm not looking forward to this film, not that I have a problem with Ben Affleck, but I think he made a choice. And unfortunately for me, it made me feel a little icky, not because the character is autistic, but because I don't think he's doing autistic people on the spectrum justice, because now all of a sudden he's really playing up that aspect of his character. That's where I was coming from, but it's very hard to eloquently say all of that, especially because I am not somebody who is on the spectrum. So how do you make comments in any way without potentially offending
Caleb is
somebody?
supporting you, Liz.
Well, I appreciate that, Caleb. But again, my point is, it's extremely hard for us on this program, especially with, granted, I understand these live streams are hours long, but it's still a very limited amount of time to talk about real life, big picture issues. So when we talk about race, when we talk about sexuality, when we talk about spectrum, when we talk about abuse, when we talk about all of these very, very sensitive topic subject matters, it's not exactly it's not the platform for us to be talking about it, quite frankly, but B, it's hard for us to get our full point across in a way that makes sense for everyone. So I'm sorry if you took it that way. That's absolutely not what I meant at all. But unfortunately, like let me just get it out there. My grandfather's African American. Like, I'm Polish. Like, I feel, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have to give you my personal resume and show you my 23andMe profile before it gets deleted, so everybody can have some understanding of my background and where I'm coming from. And there's just not that kind of time. It's just not going to happen. So if I offended you, that wasn't the case. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to this film. I enjoyed the first one, but for me, it was a choice that he made that was very obvious, to the point where I actually felt a little uncomfortable, because I was like, I know he doesn't mean to be coming across this way, but it was almost insulting. That's what I meant by that.
Exactly.
And it's also
that's
like
what I had a feeling you would say. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Well, I appreciate that, John. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to kind of quickly add again. We were the other day we were talking about the poster for the movie. We were talking about the trailer for the movie, the poster for the movie, and we haven't seen the movie yet, right? So when we see the movie, then obviously opinions might change, because it might just be like,
and I hope
came across
so.
that way, right? So and for the better, for the worse, in whichever direction things go, and then it's art is subjective, like you said. He's making a choice as an actor, and obviously, because this is out there for us to judge as a work of art, we can all talk about it in our own way and what we feel is valid for ourselves. With that also said, I am excited to now get to the point where we get the behind the scenes look, and maybe he talks about what he did to prepare for this role so many years after he last portrayed it.
I will also point out he is very, very close with an autistic little boy who was a fan of his for over a decade now. He invites the boy to all. I mean, I think if he's not a teenager, he's in his 20s now. So he invites this gentleman to all of his productions whenever he can. He makes a point to stop and show him around. So he does have a relationship with people on the spectrum. So I'm sure that's part of where he was taking that from. But again, like I said, the two performances seem very different for the same character. So that was where my confusion was coming from.
Yeah. It's completely fair. Let's just see how we'll see how things work out.
We'll see how the movie is,
and it's gonna be here soon, very very soon. I can't wait. I love this. I love The Accountant. I can't wait for the second one.
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
John.
And I like how, and I said this before, I like how different they're doing it. It doesn't look like the first one at all, and I'm good with that.
It's not a rehash. It feels original. Yes.
But the next one was when Pamela Voorhees was cast with Linda Cardellini playing the character in the upcoming Friday the 13th show. He was like, Kyle Keisweider again. He was like, what about the elderly woman who can't get jobs? LOL. Yes. It's like, yeah, these poor older women, they need the jobs. We need some, it's ageist, guys. Let's not have these characters become MILFs.
But we're running into the same problem though, where they're constantly casting the same elderly women. So like Helen Mirren, I don't know that I would call Meryl Streep elderly, but she's up there in years now. Like we're
in her 70s, I think now.
Yeah. So I mean, even like Jamie Lee Curtis could possibly be in that category at this point, but like, yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was funny. And then Jonathan Noble said
this is from today's show, actually.
Yeah,
I just added this
today. So boom, there you go. Thanks, Jonathan Noble. With your name kind of spelled right. It's spelled with an H, so I appreciate that. But James Gunn is learning how to be a studio head. He's in the beginning stages. I think the pressure and expectations is coming at him faster than he can plan. So he announces things too early without fully sure that projects will land. I kind of agree with that. Like, he's kind of, as we've said, he's the creative side. He's not the Peter Safran side. I think he needs to be quiet I won't say shut up because we like James Gunn. We don't like Andy Muschietti.
We loved it. He's very enthusiastic.
He's very enthusiastic because, as you said earlier,
sometimes.
he's a fan. He is a fan at the core, at the core of his being. He is a fan, which we appreciate. But I think at this point, I think what we need from him, he just needs to focus on the projects he's a part of, which is Superman and Peacemaker season 2, because those are things he's directly involved in, and maybe like some general creative stuff, like, and maybe announcing once they're cast, like announcing a crew, announcing a cast member, all that stuff. I think Peter Safran needs to really come out of the woodwork and be because I know he's like doing a lot of money and producing and like day-to-day stuff in regards to that, because he's like the guy doing all the complicated shit that James Gunn didn't want to do.
Physical production
the role initially.
Right. The business.
So I think Peter Safran needs to start making announcements in regards to the general consensus of movies, because I feel like that would be a lot better, because I feel like he would know better, because
it just feels like they go there as a team in those situations, but then James Gunn is the one who's really active on social media.
Yeah, I think Peter Safran needs to be more active, and I think James Gunn needs to be less active. Essentially, that's the TLDR of it all.
What I will just add to, I think, in my opinion, Peter Safran isn't doing much wrong. I think he's active in all the ways that is asked of him in the job. Yep. He's always at all of the official events as a co-CEO, as is James Gunn. So the two of them are doing their job there. I think the problem here is it's more about the idea. It's not. James Gunn is learning to be a studio executive as well, but like also it's not like Peter Safran ran a studio of this scale before either, right? That he was a producer for a long time with Warner Brothers, but he didn't run something the scale of DC Studios with the amount of expectations, the burden, the pressure to succeed that they have. The simple problem that Liz and we all point out all the time is the fact that, hey, it's very difficult to satisfy fans. Like, look, we had that whole Avengers by the way, thank you, Jonathan, for the compliment. The whole Avengers conversation from earlier in the show, and we argue about all these, there's many different opinions to many different things we talk about, whether it's movies, TV shows, some news, a rumor, report. So when you're a studio head, you can say a million different things. You're never going to make everybody happy. And I feel like sometimes James Gunn answering everybody's questions is so that he's like, get off my back, or here you go, here's an answer, or I want you guys to be happy. And I just feel like sometimes you just gotta like hold back and be like, there'll be an official announcement. People will find out what they need to find out when they need to find it out. It doesn't need to be said ahead of time. I don't need to clarify every little detail for every person. Yes, right. The other thing is also this, like when we started DCU Daily, the idea was that this new universe is going to come together. The DC Studios is going to be a new entity. Things are going to pick up over time. And it's taken a long time to get here, but we still are pretty much in this nascent stages of the DCU. We've only had one project, Creature Commandos. Superman isn't out yet. So whereas the MCU, for example, you look at it, there's like 500 million different things you can talk about any given day, because they have 6 different TV shows and 5 different movies in development. Half of them are shooting. There's like 5 new projects announced at any given point in time. Then you have days like today when Avengers I keep calling it Endgame. Avengers Doomsday has a new cast that got announced. So, there's a lot more to talk about in general. And I feel like we're going to get there with the DCU. And sometimes I get the feeling that James Gunn feels like it's not the DCU and DC News or DC Studios in general is not in the conversation as much. So by him answering these questions, he's steering clear of all the misconceptions, but at the same time, like he's trying to like raise the profile, which I get to a certain degree, but then he's taken it too far sometimes, where he's gotten himself in trouble. Like when Matt Reeves says, I'm working on it and everything, and then James Gunn says, I haven't seen the first draft of the script yet. People are like, well, what's going on? Like, it's like, are you guys not talking
Andy
to each other?
Muschietti being like, I haven't talked to him in like a year, and it's like,
that guy. Well, no, so Super Blink says, honestly, I hate it when what the man is going through, because he's going to get hate for anything that he does. It's the same argument that I've been having when I bring up Henry Cavill with his Warhammer project. Like, I feel so bad for him because he's putting his heart and soul into this project. He loves it so much. He cares so much about it. He's such a super fan. that he's gonna get shit on so horrifically, no matter what he does, no matter what he presents with us. So it's just, you're damned if you do in these situations. Like, yeah, it's a dream to be a lifelong fan and then get to be a part of these projects, but unfortunately, haters gonna hate. I tell people all the time, the internet is fucking mean. So this is what happens, unfortunately, when you put yourself out there, and it's a real shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, Jonathan asking a question in the chat about the Superman trailer coming out in the next what did he say? You asked if it was in the next 7 days or like coming out next Tuesday. We're not sure yet. That's the rumors with CinemaCon and with Superman Day coming up. But I mean, I agree with you, Liz. I totally agree with you on the James Gunn situation. And then yeah, for Superman the trailer, we don't know yet, guys. We don't know for sure.
I mean, if he said nothing, people would be all over him too.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. It's at least when you don't say anything, you don't stir up the controversy because you don't get yourself caught in
I guess, but
the fans
it doesn't put an end to it either. Yeah.
Exactly. But ultimately what we're trying to say is he has to be a little more okay with not answering every question and not like clarifying every point of confusion, because it's not like he is the PR team for the studio. The studio probably has one. So let them do that job. And it's not like 5 random fans on social media having this conversation is going to end up derailing a project. They're a loud minority at the end of the day, right? So yeah, that's how you got to treat it. But yeah, as far as the Superman trailer goes, guys, we are still just waiting. Remember the December trailer? They kept saying, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And then all of a sudden the trailer dropped. So we've talked about it at length. We don't know yet what we're going to get. But that 5-minute preview or that sneak peek that they're going to try to do before Minecraft, I have a feeling that's not just going to be in Thailand. Anywhere you go to see Minecraft, you're probably going to get a 5-minute preview.
That'll get people to watch Minecraft. So
which is
I mean,
the whole
I'm going to
point.
go see it.
That's the whole point, because otherwise that's Warner Brothers is like, they know Minecraft is a movie that's going to struggle. So if you put 5 minutes of Superman ahead of it, people are going to go see it. They're going to at least buy their ticket. They don't have to stick around for the whole movie. That they already paid for the tickets. So like it's a shrewd marketing move. But if we get that, then I bet you know, that's what we're going to get and not the trailer, because I don't feel like they're going to give you a 3-minute trailer and a 5-minute sneak peek that close together. So yeah, we'll just have to see. Like, let's give it a week, guys. We're almost there. Tuesday's gonna be here in no time. But I think that brings us
July is gonna be here in no time.
Dude, July's, yes, exactly.
July's gonna be
for the time being,
times.
that does wrap up the show. It's been another long show. So I do want to thank you guys again. Liz, can you tell the good folks where they can see you and find you and listen to you when you're not on the show here?
Try Not to Curse podcast everywhere you get your Audible content, and on YouTube as well, but there's no visuals, gang. Nobody likes to be filmed except for us, because we understand the internet's mean. So we'll see you there.
Exactly.
And again, the latest episode, don't listen to if you're eating, but it's in the title. It's not a surprise what we're talking about.
Can I listen to it when I'm driving?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And it's
All
a
right, I
quick
might
one
do that
too.
then.
So.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I've got a long.
I don't know what
drive
the
tomorrow. I'll do
content
that.
is, and it's so bad that you can't listen to it while you're eating.
It has to be something to do with like you throwing. I don't know.
But like, you know,
It's in the title. It's in the title.
There you go. Okay. Well, John, where can the good folks find you on the? On
well,
the interwebs?
I
Thanks,
am.
Ron.
I'm trying. Well, I'm currently kind of editing a new video. It's just might be delayed because I don't have my laptop with me right now, because it's still not working properly and it's annoying the fuck out of me. But I did some of it before I had to give it in, so I'm currently working on something. So that's good for my main channel. And then for the cool kids, we just did back-to-back reviews of a delayed Novocaine review, and then the Alto Nights for all 5 of you that watched it. But we are going to be doing Death of a Unicorn this Saturday, hopefully. So the movie that looks like if a Marvel movie did a horror movie. So that's going to be interesting. But I'm kind of uneasy on that because it's like, it doesn't look great. And the one thing I was looking forward to, they might be getting rid of that. Like, John Carpenter was set to do the score, and then they got rid of his score like during one of the test screenings. So it's like, why? That's like, oh, hey, let's get rid of, it's like getting rid of Edgar Wright for Ant-Man. Let's get rid of this really creative guy and replace him with the douchebag who directed Yes Man. Okay. So it's like, all right, why get rid of like genius John Carpenter, get a fucking generic dude to do it? But whatever. That's beside the point. Anyway, don't play the Oscar music because I'm coming back in. Here we go. Anyway, Death of a Unicorn this Saturday. Stay tuned. Hopefully it's not garbage.
This is a long pitch, but I'm sure we're gonna enjoy the videos when they're out, and we hope that you're able to finish them really, really soon. But yeah, I mean, hey, it's been a fantastic show. Thank you, Man of Steel Magnolias. While you guys are at it here, if you want to be kind of rewind, welcome to watch the show back if you popped in a little bit late. But if you were here on time and you stuck through the whole show, then of course, please hit the like button if you enjoy the show. Like, Man of Steel is saying, bat signal that like button, please. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, because we are here 5 days a week doing this Monday through Friday. And so we'll be back tomorrow and the day after. And then, of course, if you are subscribed, hit the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a new episode of DCU Daily. And we also do movie reviews. So we reviewed like 5 movies yesterday. So we might be waiting till next week to review any more movies, because I think we were movie reviewed out for the week. But we will be back with more DCU Daily, a lot of MCU stuff today as well. So, do check that out if you didn't get a chance. Until next time, guys, remember, as Ron says, fight for justice, because we sure will. And Liz, we'll see you next week. John, we'll see you tomorrow, and I'll be back with you. And it's going to be another episode of DCU Daily.
Hell yeah.